There is no reason Vinny Trocheck should not get way more than that. There's no reason.
Oh, yeah. He's 2 years younger. He's a much better player at this point.
I've barely been able to use this. I mean, this is we got 28 minutes remaining. And so far all we got is Brayden Schenn.
TSN said that Garen wanted a discount for Trocheck, and Drury said no. Okay. I have no problem with that.
I'm just more mad right now that I sat here for 6.5 hours for the shittiest trade deadline in the history of the sport.
Are in first place. Gentlemen, you had my curiosity, but now you have my attention.
And yes, and now they have everybody's attention now all over the NHL. Still hard to believe. Phil and I discussed this a little bit last week, but there was a lot of interruptions. We're going to talk about it again this week. Going into that, I still can't believe the Buffalo Sabres are among one of the best teams in the NHL right now. Guys, welcome back to another episode of Big Apple Hockey. It is great to be back with all you. Anthony LaRocco will be joining us in a moment. I, of course, am your host, Mark Williams, who is shocked at the Alexei Kovalev impression done by a different Alexei this year. Different pronunciation, basically the same person. But always happy to be joined with the host of the Final Buzzer, Mr. John Fulkowski.
Yeah. We got Johnny Lazarus in the chat here. Let's go, buddy.
All right.
Yeah. But this is, I guess, the fallout. It's just from this trade deadline, and just I gotta echo Evan's sentiments, man. 6 hours, like doing hours and hours of streaming for that was just so underwhelming. We'll talk about Vinny Trocheck and what was going on with that whole thing, and some of the winners and losers of the deadline and everything like that. But he's not wrong. That was probably the most boring trade deadline I have ever witnessed in my 30 plus years of watching hockey. Terrible.
Phil, do you know what I can equate it to? I can equate it to the Great Pumpkin. Now, for anybody that's below the age of 30 that doesn't remember the Peanuts cartoon, it's the Great Pumpkin, Charlie Brown, where Linus and Charlie Brown's sister wait in a pumpkin patch for the Great Pumpkin to show up, and he's supposed to shower everyone with presents. And, of course, doesn't show because he doesn't exist. And then it's like, all right, well, you get the Sally saying, you stole a night from me. You promised it was going to happen. That's exactly the way I felt at that trade deadline. And especially after seeing that wonderful letter that was constructed by Chris Drury. Absolutely, chef's kiss of BS. I mean, I should have brought back the BS meter that I had to retire so quickly because the New York Rangers were full of it. But then they just, like, it's amazing, Phil. I had that. They shattered it. And the biggest trade that went down on trade deadline day will happen after the 3 o'clock hour. That was Nazem Kadri. But you could argue that it was Brayden Schenn going to the Islanders.
You could argue it was John Carlson, though.
That was the day before. So I'm just saying for trade deadline day.
It was like the night before.
Yeah. So, sorry, everybody. Trying to get my voice back. I was doing a lot of yelling, and there's going to be a lot of yelling for me the next 2 weeks. So just get used to this voice right now. Phil, let's go right into it. Let's start the A block, and let's talk about some of that news that happened. But we're going to wait on the Brayden Schenn talk, guys, until Anthony joins us so we get his opinions on the trade. But, of course, A block is brought to you by SeatGeek. Use the promo code Big Apple Hockey for $20 off your first order. And, of course, Big Apple Hockey trucker hats and shirts are available. We do have some in stock still. Go ahead, go to the link below and go get them. And so, again, we're going to talk about Brayden Schenn a little bit. So let's talk about a little bit of a resurrection, as you might have seen, or heard me say it just now. Sort of an Alexei Kovalev impression that's I think is starting to happen in the Garden, where a player later in the season just suddenly turns it on, and that kind of happened last night. Alexis Lafrenière with a hat trick against the Calgary Flames. Since January 31st, that's the 2 games after they initially scratched Artemi Panarin. And he's been out of the lineup. 8 goals, 5 assists, 13 points, +5, 3 game-winning goals. And you look at that time on ice, he did have a game where he had 13 minutes in there. So his time on ice is growing, and he's growing as a player. And you look at the recent Lafreniere's Zibanejad Perreault line. Oh, wait, there's an E that's missing out of Perreault, so I'm sorry about that. They combined for 14 points in the last 2 games. Phil, is Alexis Lafrenière finally finding his role with the New York Rangers?
I think I'm going to have to go with Evan again and say that I'm not falling for it. I need this to carry over, and I need this to be consistent for him to really buy into it. It's we've seen this before from him where he gets hot, and then kind of like his predecessor left wing in New York, Chris Kreider, he kind of, just he'll be there for like a couple of weeks or something like that, and you'll look really good. And then for the next month or 2, he's just nowhere to be found. The effort levels on him have been really kind of disappointing for me for the most part this year. It's nice to see the production, but I mean, can you really blame me or anyone for that matter for being wary about buying into this? I haven't seen enough of him like consistently to really want to like get excited about this. And I'm going to be honest with you, I still think he's not on opening night's roster next year. I don't. I think Johnny's quoted it actually from Vince and somebody else. I think maybe Elliot Freeman might have even said it, but I think I saw Vince say it. But I think there's conversations to be had. JT Miller was the non-starter about moving, and then everybody else outside of maybe Fox, I think, he put everybody else in the discussions to be had this offseason category in the tier of like how far out the door they are, I guess if you want to call it that. Yeah, I actually can see him pulling the trigger on trading with the deals right. I don't think he's going to give him away for nothing. But
really? He won't trade him for a 7th defenseman and give that 7th defenseman a no trade clause and everything else?
So you're going to just try to push me off the deep end this afternoon, aren't you?
Oh yeah, no, I am. Because Chris Drury will take a guy like Alexis Lafrenière and then try to find somebody tougher to play against.
Somebody go get the clip from 300 where Leonidas yells, "This is Sparta," and Mark kicks me into a friggin' pit. Because that's what it feels like right now. It's really what it feels like. But I do no, absolutely not.
No.
I don't want anything to do with Shane Wright.
No.
Don't want anything to do with Shane Wright. So nope. If I got him for a conditional pick or something like that, but for Lafrenière, absolutely not. If you're going to move Lafrenière, it's got to be in a 1-for-1 change of scenery type deal where you're actually getting somebody that can produce back, or you should be packaging him as part of a deal for a bigger player, a bigger and better player. It's the only way you should be doing it. Shane Wright should not be the target, and I think any of that talk is just nonsense. So, yeah, I do like this line. This line's fun to watch. And I got to give credit to Mika Zibanejad, who just, by the way, got his 800th point, last night. But Mika Zibanejad, despite, not having JT Miller, despite not having Artemi Panarin anymore, he's continued to produce. And he's been the Rangers probably their second best player behind Adam Fox when Fox has been healthy. So for me, I mean, credit to Zibanejad. And Zibanejad, not only that, but Zibanejad has taken the two younger guys under his wing and has tried to really show them, hey, you gotta give an effort. So A for effort from Zibanejad. Perreault really shows you that he's got top end skill and hockey IQ. He is just something else, man. This is my thing. Like, I think of all the fun lines that I've watched during my time here as a Ranger fan, and I look back at, like, early on, like Messier, Graves, and Amonte was a fun first line. And then you had Kovalov, Larmer, and Matto together was a fun line for a little bit.
Although the better line out of that would have been Messier, Graves, and Kovalev.
Messier, Graves, and Kovalev was just great. Messier, Graves, and Verbeek was
that's another one.
Ray Ferraro with Alexei Kovalev and Luke Robitaille was a fun line. Then I could go years later and I could say the checkmates were incredibly fun to watch. The fly line was fun to watch. The Yager and Friends combinations with Yager, Stalker, Nylander, and then putting Hosen, Pruka, with those guys were fun combinations to watch. I mean, in recent years, it's been the KZB, Kreider, Zibanejad, and Buchnevich. But this has been a fun line to watch. I know it's a very, very, very small sample size, but there's no reason why this line shouldn't stay together and have the chance to develop some sort of chemistry, because you're going to need some sort of veteran presence with the two of them. And if, like Brian's saying, if they're going to keep Lafrenière through next season, it should be with these two playing with them.
Yeah.
Let them go out there. Let them do their thing. Let them develop. Let the two kids make mistakes. Let them make mistakes. Don't pull a Quinn and bench them the second they take a borderline penalty or they commit a mistake in the defensive zone. I don't want to see that. Let them go out there and develop. I keep talking about this. When you develop players, you don't develop offensive players as defensive first guys. You do it the other way around, like Modano with Hitchcock and Bowman with Yzerman. You let them develop offensively, and then you bring along that defensive element of their game, and you turn them into two-way players that way. Not the way that Quinn tried to do. Not the way that Gallant was putting Dryden Hunt in the top six over some of the other options they had. But you know what? Just let these three go out there. I want to see that line together. Just let them play. I hate the fact that they're getting points and they're getting further away from that first overall pick. But if you're going to tell me that Lafrenière and Perreault are going to go off and they're going to develop and they're going to turn into the players that they need to be, then you know what? Okay, I can't be as mad, and I don't think any fan should be, because those are two key cogs that should be essential to this team's success going forward.
Yeah, Phil, you should always wait till year 6 to try to get a top overall pick to be one of your first liners. That's one of the most ridiculous notions of all time. And the New York Rangers really fumbled with Lafrenière. I keep billing it. There's video that I have coming out that is going to detail my thoughts on the mistakes the Rangers made in this entire the rebuild, probably within the next 2 days, because there's one more section I might add on in, because they haven't chose the right coaches to really do anything. And I think without JT Miller in the lineup, they really have been able to put this line together. For one, keep them on the power play together. That's another one, because Lafrenière is finally starting to find open spaces and finally start to look like a guy that he looked like back in his junior days. And I think it's more because he's the finisher on this line, not so much a passenger like he was in his career best season when he had 58 points. You didn't need Alexis Lafrenière to be the passenger on any of those lines. But the Rangers made him into that because Panarin mattered more. Trocheck mattered more. They could have done things to develop him long before this. But instead, they wanted to stick him on the third line and go, you play with Kakko and Hedl, and you guys will develop all as one. To their credit, they did. for a short time, but that's not the way you develop top overall picks. Getting back to this. Yeah, he's hot, but he's also starting to find his way. And this is one of those things. This line, sometimes, Phil, you just luck into the right combinations. Gabe Perreault is a guy that's now looking for Lafrenière. Gabe Perreault is showing that he's an elite playmaker. See that assist to Zibanejad Monday night. And they're really gelling together. And now I kind of have to look over at Mika Zibanejad and think maybe there is a future still for him on Broadway. Because he, for a while, even part of this season, he did start out hot, but he was always kind of part of the problem. Now he looks like to be part of the solution. He's going to score 30 goals this year, and he's really looking like the player he was at the beginning of this decade as opposed to the player he was last year, completely devoid of any confidence or anything else. And I think maybe the Chris Kreider trade is now starting to, the effects of it is starting to wear off on him. Because sometimes that happens too. You're like, I lost my longtime line mate, one of my best friends, and now what? So, but Gabe is really looking like the player that both of us draft night went, holy cow, they're going to get Gabe Perreault. And now he's kind of showing what he could be.
PlayStation line. Dubinsky and Voros, it was the PlayStation line. I remember that line.
Yeah, because weren't they playing PlayStation and they said, why don't you put the three of us together?
Yeah, they played NHL together on PlayStation, and that's where that line, the line name came from.
Well, first off,
that for a very, very brief minute.
First off, we're neglecting two guys that played together, and they had a different winger with them two different times in two back-to-back seasons. But the Zuccarello, Brassard, Pouliot line, and then it became the Zuccarello, Brassard, Nash line. Those were all right there. Laba is becoming a very good player. By the way,
Laba is if this is what Laba is, you still run away and you call this a win.
Yeah,
where you pick it.
And look, Phil, you take it as a 3C. Let's not sugarcoat it and say he's going to be a number 2 or something else. He's a 3C. That's what he is. But
you know what? I don't know. Like, I honestly, he's got 19 points in 61 games for a guy that was a 4th-round pick in 2022 that came out of nowhere. He only played 11 games in Hartford last year. 11 games after coming over from Colorado College, and then won a spot at a training camp. Oh yeah, absolutely, Rich. These are great. But I tell you right now, though, like this is one of those guys that it's really hard to gauge because he's jumped through levels and he's overachieved at every level he's ever played at. Like I don't know how to put a finger on him. I don't. And I think you're right, Brian. I think he's one of those guys that you want to go into that fight with. He's a guy that goes out there. The only thing I worry about him is his health. He's gotten banged up quite a bit over this year because he plays a super physical brand of hockey. Mm-hmm. He's just got that dog in him and just goes and goes and goes. And there's only one speed with Laba, and it's Chuck Norris overkill. That's his only speed. That's it. So like I really wonder how his body holds up over time. But Mike's right. Like it's really hard to say that he's a 3rd-line center in his first season. Like he's producing at a pretty damn good rate with very little ice time. He's not getting a ton of ice time.
Well, again, one of the things that I'll bring up was in a conversation with Neil Smith. He was mentioning how Mark Savard felt like he was blocked because the old man back then was Wayne Gretzky was blocking him from getting anywhere in his career. Savard would then go on to Calgary, not really do anything there. He would start to pick up a little bit in Atlanta. You'd start seeing that. And then he took off in Boston. And sometimes you get guys that it's blocked. Right now, Laba's, first off, by the way, going back to Lafrenière, Lafrenière was blocked by both Kreider and Panarin. He couldn't really show what he could do. Maybe now he finally is. That being said, Laba right now is blocked by Vinny Trocheck. And Vinny Trocheck is there. So we're now, I don't know what the growth is going to be for him. We're going to have to wait and see. And you know what? Phil, maybe you're right about this. Maybe Laba grabs the bull by the horns. It's a metaphor, you know. That he grabs the bull by the horns next year and really starts taking off, really starts pushing that. And then maybe next trade deadline, they actually trade Vinny Trocheck instead of Bill Guerin hoping he got a discount.
He's gone in the summer. I really do think he's gone in the summer. I don't think this is going to drag out beyond that.
And again, I made the comment earlier. I like Vinny Trocheck. I was happy he was not dealt in a way, but that's like on the personal level. It's like I like the fact that he's here. In the micro, I'm happy he's here. In the grand scheme of things, the macro, what are the Rangers doing? It still shows that they're clueless.
No, Johnny, I'm not saying we need to force him into a top 6 role. What I'm trying to say is that, like, I don't think anybody really has a pulse on his development. I don't. I think even the scouts would tell you that it's really hard. All right, so, like, just from my experience, when Anthony and I were on Off the Post and we went to Dallas for the 2018 draft, I actually got to sit down and interview Sam Cosentino in person. And I asked him about Vitaly Kravtsov after the pick was made that night, because there were a lot of people. But I tell you, when that pick was made, there was an audible gasp that you could hear in that building. Like, people were like, what the hell? Like, nobody knew. Like, even I think on our live stream, I was like, what the hell was this? I was thrown off by it. So I asked Sam Cosentino about it. And Sam Cosentino said that he was literally the hardest player in the draft to put a finger on, because he went across 3 different leagues, 3 different levels of competition in one season. I think Noah Laba is such an overachiever at every level that he's ever played at, that I don't think that anyone is going to be able to put a real finger on him. Maybe the Rangers brass could. I don't know if I trust the Rangers brass the way they've developed, but that's a whole other story. But, like, this guy's just done everything he can. I don't think you can just say, oh, he's just a third-line center based off of one season. I think there is room for him to grow. Now, does room for him to grow mean that he turns into a Vinny Trocheck? Or does room for him to grow mean that he turns into a John Gabriel Pajot, where he's like one of the elite third-line centers in the league at his very best? I don't know. I don't know. All I'm saying is just that, like, I think there's a player in this guy that people will say, yeah, let's shoehorn him in for this or that. I think that, I hate to make this because it's so weird and it just doesn't, like, relate in total and, like, I don't know, in a sports to, like, entertainment type way, but he's kind of like Goku in Dragon Ball. Like, he literally finds a ceiling and he breaks through it. Like, this was a guy that I don't think a lot of people thought was going to be like a surefire NHLer. And he's just gone through every glass ceiling that has ever been in front of him in every level. So I think we need to calm down with the saying he's this and this, because I think there may be a point in time where he exceeds that.
Well, let me go with a different metaphor. And right now we're on minute 25, so let's wrap this one up. But you get actors that are cast in certain roles. Some people are cast in huge roles right away, like Edward Furlong in Terminator 2. And then they kind of peter out the rest of their career because really you don't really see anything like that from them. And really, maybe they get like 1 or 2 more good movies the way he had American History X. You got other people that are bit parts and they grow into the business and then they become stars. And Yeah,
I
or
think Johnny something here.
And yeah, he could be Shane Pinto. But you also get guys, they got to find out what their role is. It is the most important thing in sports to know your role. And once you know it, then you can figure out where your game goes from there. Because 99% of the time, when guys aren't, you don't know what to figure out what they are, it's because they don't know their role. And that's why you don't take a number 1 overall draft pick and make him a third line winger and go, yeah, we'll match you up against certain line. That doesn't help him. It never will help him. So again, the New York Rangers, they were stupid, not smart. They were outright stupid with the way they treated both Lafrenière and Kakko and everybody they've drafted. So please write it on the letter saying how you're going to do that. But going to Noah Laba, the last thing for him is, I would say if there's a slight opening at all to expand your role, go push that door open. Go get it. Because we've all done it at some point in our sports careers or our lives. And sometimes things just happen by mistake. Like just turning to a player and going, hey, I know it's the right wing. I could go play that instead of the left. Yada, yada, yada. And that's the way you can make lines together. I mean, hell, with the checkmates were put together basically because they were all from the Czech Republic. And that line was real good for the New York Rangers. I think for only about a calendar year, though, Phil. I don't think it was.
No, it was 2 seasons. It was the 99, 2000, and the 2000, 2001 season.
Until they traded Hlavich.
4-goal game against the Islanders.
Yep. And Rick DiPietro when he was wearing number 1. And I believe Brad Dvorak crossed the 30-goal threshold in that game,
yes,
right?
In that game, yes.
Yeah. So, again, and then, of course, they traded Hlavich in the Lindros deal, and then they traded Dvorak in the Anson Carter deal. Okay.
Yeah.
All right. But, I mean, look, these guys.
Hey, Dvorak got us younger. I'm not complaining.
Yeah. But
although
it could have been Jaromir Jagr as Jan Hlavich instead of Jan Hlavich becoming Eric Lindros.
Well, yeah, that was the idea. And then Sather kind of fell asleep at the wheel on that deal.
Well, as we wait for Anthony, guys, let's go upstate to Buffalo, where we got to talk about this game. Sunday, Philk, the Buffalo Sabres, epic statement, an 8-7 win over Tampa to move into first place of the Atlantic, where they do have 2 games in hand, but man, what a game it was. The Sabres, just a couple quick notes. They built a 3-0 lead, fell behind 6-4 in the third period, and they won 8-7 on Josh Stone's putback of a rebound, as you saw in the intro. But this game, 102 combined penalty minutes, 70 combined shots, 67 combined hits. Philk, are you on the Buffalo bandwagon? Is this team we started talking about, are they really for real?
They're a playoff team for sure. How far they go, I don't know, but I think they could beat Carolina.
Yeah.
Carolina does not scare me. Like, they did nothing to improve themselves, worth a while, but I think they could beat a team like Carolina. How much, they have talent. They absolutely have talent, but what is where's their their secondary, their tertiary scoring is really what's going to come down to is their depth scoring and their defense. I mean, they have a good top 3, I would say, but I mean, Logan Stanley, Luke Schenn, I mean, they brought those guys in for size, and obviously they wanted a big defenseman after they lost out on Parayko. But here's a funny thing. Crossing Swords podcast at Cross Swords Pod. It's funny enough that you talked about this. So Jason Zucker scored goal number 7 in that game for Buffalo, the game tire. Almost 20 years to the day that Derek Roy scored the goal number 7 against Tampa, almost on the same exact day 20 years ago.
Wow.
It's crazy. It is absolutely crazy. Sean Burke's in net for Tampa in this one.
Yeah.
And
I saw the highlight. I remember that.
Oh, just how crazy is that?
It is insane because I will bring this up and I'll admit it too. Phil will admit it. Jim will admit it. We all left Buffalo for dead. We had Lindy Ruff fired. And you know what? I have to channel Devils fans and say, sorry, Lindy. This is amazing. And again, I've said it before. I'll say it again. The city of Buffalo deserves a winner again. Like, they've been through a decade and a half of tanking, rebuilding, stripping down your team, watching a literal Stanley Cup winning lineup come out of your team. And then, like, now they could finally go, because we knew the pieces were there. We knew Tage Thompson's good. We knew Rasmus Dahlin was good. We questioned the Joss Stone Kesselring trade for Peterka, which looks like it works out for both teams. And and they started to win, and I think we talked about this. We all say it like this, but let me give this perspective. Kevin Adams was fired 3 games into their winning streak in December. Let's be honest. You're not firing the GM on a 3-game winning streak. You made the decision well ahead of time.
Yeah.
And then, so they fired him. And once they did that, it was like, ding dong, the witch is dead.
But
and
here,
everybody dances around. Yeah. And now you got a whole new culture. Jarmo Kekalainen, I think, did a great job at the trade deadline. Arguably the best of any general manager.
They went from 14-14-4, 32 points, and they were last in the Eastern Conference, to 25-5-2 afterwards. That's unbelievable. Unfriggin' believable.
And of course, just in time to answer this question, Anthony, are you getting on the Buffalo bandwagon? Our own Anthony LaRocco is joined us.
I mean, it's hard not to. What they've done is complete turnaround. But here's my thing. Very good regular season team right now. Come playoff time, are they going to be able to do this? Beat Tampa Bay, 8-7 in the playoffs, or a 6-3 game like they just played in the Sharks. I think I don't know. I think come playoff time, their steam is going to wear out, and I say that because I don't know if I trust Alex Lyon or UPL in the playoffs. So I think when it's tight, the game is much tighter checking, and you have to fight for every inch of ice. I don't know how it's going to translate. So for me, incredible turnaround. You root for the Buffalo fans because honestly, they deserve it. I'm a big Bills fan. I know just in general, Buffalo sports fans, have had a rough go. So I'm very happy for them. They deserve the playoffs. And they're a great team right now, competing with the Hurricanes for first in the East. I just don't think come the playoff time, they're going to, take this wagon that they are and go all the way to the conference final or the finals. I think it might wear out. But for right now, they're playing very good.
Just to give you a couple numbers, though, Anthony, number 2 in the NHL right now in 5-on-5 goals for is the Buffalo Sabres.
Yeah,
they've now surpassed the Lightning. The only team they trail is the Colorado Avalanche. They are second in the league in regulation wins with 34. They're not just going to like overtime and shootout and doing this, but they're really pressing it now. But I think you're right, though. And Phil, don't you think that the goaltending would be where you'd be worried about with this team?
Yeah, I mean, again, Anthony talked about it. UPL and Alex Lyon. Do you really trust them? And I know Alex Lyon got the Panthers into the 2023 playoffs And then, Bobrovsky kind of took over from there, and they went on that run to the finals and lost to Vegas. But right now, I don't know if I trust that. I like adding Logan Stanley. All right, not a bad defenseman, really a bigger body, and I get why they pivoted to him because they wanted somebody that was sort of like Parayko, so they went and got Parayko light. Luke Schenn, never going to hurt you. He's going to give you solid defense in a limited role, and he gives you experience, physical play, penalty killing. But, I mean, did they really do enough, like I said, to really, like Anthony said, really to kind of become a playoff type team? And I don't know about that. It kind of reminds me of like those 20 years ago Sabres where, they were winning games, 5-4, 6-5, something like that. And then they run into a team like Ottawa or, I don't know,
Carolina
in the playoffs, and they shut them down. Like that's the type of play is not conducive in the playoffs. You can't run and gun. Colorado didn't even do that a few years back when they won in 2022. They were able to slow things down, and they had better defensive depth and key role players that came in and scored goals for them. I just don't know if Buffalo has that. And I'm not trying to rain on any Sabres fans' parades because you know what? You should be enjoying this time.
Mm-hmm.
Like you guys have suffered more than anyone in sports outside of maybe Jets fans. And I'm talking not about the Winnipeg Jets, talking about the New York Jets. So, enjoy that. But I don't know if I see a properly constructed playoff team. And I say this as a Rangers fan who watched Artemi Panarin, Vinny Trocheck, and Alexis Lafrenière 2 years ago, dog walk everyone in the regular season. And then come playoff time after that Carolina series, they were nowhere to be found.
Well, Panarin was nowhere to be found. Trocheck and Lafrenière
was the best player on that line. So, again, I don't think they're properly constructed. I don't think they can beat Tampa Bay. And if I'm Buffalo, that's probably the last team I want to face because you're going to have one of either UPL or Lion go up against Big Cat. Good fucking luck with that. Because Big Cat's the best playoff goalie there is right now, probably, if it comes down to it. So I am Victor Hedman's finally back. He looks like he's starting to get healthy. That's the team that I don't want to face right now. It's Tampa. They got the guys that know how to do it.
One thing though, I just want to mention that there's a big comparison. Everybody's been coming out, all the fans online on all the talk call-in shows. They're going, you know what? This is like the 2019 St. Louis Blues. This is not the 2019 St. Louis Blues. This team was built beforehand. The Blues fired their coach, replaced him with Craig Berube. They put Jake Allen on the bench and promoted their third string goalie and somehow caught fire. That's what they did. This is a little bit more by design. This is a little bit more of the team and the culture changing. And I don't think it's the same thing whatsoever. Lindy Ruff has got his hands all over this team. He is showing why he's one of the better coaches over the last 20 years. And right now they believe, and that's the scariest thing. And Anthony, you see it with the Islanders. So it's scary when you got a team and they believe that they can win every single game.
Yeah, no, belief is a powerful thing. When you believe in your room, and everybody's pulling on the same rope in that room, it can go a long way.
Yeah. So let's stick with that and let's talk about first. I want to get your thoughts, Anthony. What about the Brayden Schenn trade? You weren't on the trade deadline show with us. What do you think about it?
So if someone would have told me before the trade deadline an insider is going to break an Islanders Blues trade, and it not be Thomas or Kyrou, because those are the two names they've been linked to, I would have been like, there's no one else. Like you're out to lunch. So that when Friedman did that tweet, momentum growing between a trade between the Blues and Islanders for Schenn, I was totally caught off guard. I was totally surprised by it. My first reaction, and it got better as more details came out, but my first reaction was when it was the Drugger originally said the return was a first, a third, and a prospect. I was pretty pissed because at that time I'm thinking, okay, well, is it the Islanders first? Is the prospect a guy like Danny Nelson? Because I heard rumors that the Blues liked him, so I'm like, all right. But then, like once it came out that it was the Colorado pick, which is, again, let's face it, very, very late. The prospect was a goalie. That's not even their best goaltending prospect. And a third, I definitely jumped off. I stood back from the ledge big time. And then to top it off, afterwards, it came out that Drouin was part of the trade going back the other way. And that was like, okay, well, now I'm okay with it. Again, he's older. It is what it is. But so at first, I definitely wasn't too thrilled. But once all the details came out, like I said, I was like, all right, well, I can live with this, I suppose. But with Brayden Schenn, I think what Matthew Darche is doing, and I think it's obvious now. Before the Palat trade and before the Brayden Schenn trade, Mark, how many Islanders on their roster had Stanley Cup experience?
None.
Thank you, Phil. 0. I think Darche is clearly looking to make this team more experienced when it comes down to the crunch time and hopefully competing for a cup. Those two guys have been there. They've done it. And it's obvious that he felt that was a missing ingredient. So I think with Brayden Schenn, you get a guy that's not the player he used to be, but as Darche said in his post trade line interviews, that he's like, this is a guy that brings you into the fight. He's a captain. He's a leader. He goes to the gritty areas, and he can also contribute when he's put in the right situation. So, I think, Darche didn't want to spend any of his top assets. We all talked about it, right? Yzerman, Eklund, Aitchison. He wanted to hold on to all those guys, and he decided this was the best way to go. So I could live without the 6.5 for the next 2 years. But again, it's a situation where it takes Cal Ritchie off the second line center, which I think was a lot for him at this stage. And this is a team that's going to compete for the playoffs now. So it's also kind of cool to see a guy waive, trade protection to come to the island too. Times are changing there, but so that was kind of my thought process on it. And as far as debut so far and the games that transpired since, they finished out this West Coast trip 2-2. Losses in Anaheim and LA, and then they picked up the wins against San Jose and then last night in St. Louis. So now they're headed back home and, tied with Pittsburgh for second in the Metro. Penguins have a game in hand. So it's going to be a tight race to the finish. But now this is the finished project, or we all speculated what teams would look like after the trade deadline, what the Islanders would do. And, now this is the team that's going to try to get it done. So, overall, again, like I said, hated it at first. When it was all said and done, I was kind of okay with it, I suppose.
Phil, I never got to ask the question, but Anthony kind of answered it right away, right? That. So
what do I add to all that? What do I add? You know what? I don't know if I get why. Again, I get why he went with Palat and Schenn. I don't like the fact that they're two clearly declining players, and that he gave up he gave up a first round pick to get Schenn. I think that was a bit much. I get that it's going to be a late first round pick. Okay, it's still a first round pick in a time where you're still kind of transitioning. So for me, I get it. I said this name before. I wonder what Calgary wanted for Blake Coleman. That's really what I wonder, because I rather would have had him than Palat. I think he fits the team better. I know Palat has the experience and he's been in a top 6 role before, but if you ask me who the better player is right now, Coleman or Palat, since the Tampa Bay days ended, I'm going Coleman. Coleman's the better player, and I really don't think there's any argument against it otherwise. Palat's been disappointing in Jersey. Maybe things change on the island. I mean, to be seen. Jury's still out. We're still very early into that. But again, I think Coleman just would have been a better fit. I do think that there probably were other players that they could have went after that had Stanley Cup pedigree. I think if you would have done this trade for Brayden Schenn 2 years ago, I would have liked it a lot more. I think $6.5 million, as Anthony said before, it's not an ideal cap hit for the next 2 years for a guy that's clearly declining. I think the game that he played has kind of taken a toll on his body. So, you see it in his game, but is he a valuable piece to a playoff team? Absolutely. Absolutely. He comes in and he gives you that Stanley Cup winning experience. He's been in how many games has this guy played in the playoffs in his career? I mean, honestly, I've got to imagine it's got to be somewhere over 100, right?
I would think.
I mean, that's a ton of playoff experience right there. So when you go and you get a player like that, that's a Stanley Cup winner and has had other deep playoff runs with other teams. I mean, you're looking at a guy that can, that really stands out to you. 82 playoff games. Sorry, 82. So, I mean, still, that's a lot. I mean, that's got to be, outside of maybe Palat, it's got to be the most out of any player on the Islanders, right?
I would probably say, yeah, Pelech, Pollock, and Lee maybe, but yeah, it's still less than that, I would think.
Yeah. And I was going to mention, don't forget the Islanders have had some deep playoff runs themselves.
Well, yeah, they have, but Schenn's a cup winner. And that's the difference. Like that's a guy who knows what it takes. You need one or two of those guys in your locker room at the very least. And that's what they got with Palat and Schenn. And again, I understand it. I just think the price was a little high on Palat, where I don't like what he gave up to get Palat. I think, if anything, Palat was a cap dump, and it should have been treated as such. I mean, provided Max Siplikov is not in the NHL right now because he got waived. So, but it's still, I would have asked for more to take on that contract for Palat. It's just not a good one. So, yeah, I mean, they made moves. Overall, I'd probably give Darsh like a C because he addressed the experience issue, which is good. I just question the players and what they have left in the tank, considering how they've been over the last couple of years or so. But I mean, I liked that he went out and tried to get, leadership and experience in the room, especially for a team that really needed it.
Yeah, I think they really solidified their playoff chances. I think there's more of a chance like a team like Columbus catches Boston, or dare I say, like Montreal, Detroit, but it's rather than catch the Islanders. I think the Islanders are going to stay a step ahead the entire time. We keep predicting the demise of the Pittsburgh Penguins. More on them later, but it looks like they're not going anywhere. And it looks like the Metro is finally what the Metro is. I still didn't know what to think about this move. And then I just kind of broke it down and said, the Islanders got rid of a guy that scored the first goal for them in the season, and then 2 after that in 50 games. Yeah. They needed. This is literally the example when Chris Drury talks about you need to find players that are tougher to play against. Brayden Schenn is much tougher to play against than Jonathan Drouin. It's not even close. So I like the deal for the Islanders. I like that Schenn immediately went by the San Jose bench and said nobody goes near Schaefer the entire time, like right away. I love the little tete-a-tete, if you will, between William Eklund. I wanted to make sure I had the right one that I said, and Bo Horvat this weekend. But this is where, and you look at the next 5 games, the Islanders can, I think, pick up some easy points in the next 3 games. That should be 6 points. Maybe there's a letdown against one of the teams like Calgary they didn't do well against, and when they went up there. But Ottawa and Montreal, they'll be a little bit more of a threat because both teams are playing a little bit better right now. but there's almost no reason why the Islanders can't go 4-1 in that stretch, if not better. So I really think that they're solid. And so, Anthony, I'll close with the Islanders on this. Are they going to win second place in the Metro?
So yeah, they're tied with Pittsburgh. Pens have a game in hand. Credit to the Penguins. Without Crosby, they're pulling the rate. Anthony Mantha has been a great kind of comeback story. It looked like a guy that had bounced around and didn't really have much left. He's having a good year for Pittsburgh. Kindle's a good story. So they're getting contributions for sure. Definitely not going to downplay them because they've been there all year. However, I just think, the difference is in goal. I think Ilya Sorokin is significantly better than any goaltender than they have. And I think eventually the Islanders are going to cruise past them. So, but that's why they play the games, right? We'll have to see what actually happens. But I think the Islanders will eventually pass them despite the one game in hand. And, that could be the difference between winning and losing. Think about it. If whoever finishes that second spot gets home ice in the first round, then, the Islanders are a pretty good road team. But, to be at home and to potentially have to play Game 7 at home is big. And you can't let an opportunity like that, get past you. I know it was a long time ago now, but you guys remember that 2014-2015 season, that series against the Capitals? That was a dogfight. That won Game 7, and guess what? Game 7 was in Washington, and it was a 2-1 game if I remember correctly now.
You are correct.
Think about it. If that's at the Coliseum, the Islanders might win that game, and it was because the Capitals finished ahead of them. So I think it's important for the Islanders to get that second spot and get home ice.
Anthony, I bring up that game all the time because the Islanders ended a Game 7 with 11 shots on net.
Yeah, that was just a poor performance in that game.
Well,
I remember you.
At least from Jack Capuano was a poor performance.
Teaming at them when he saw that final number of shots. So.
Yeah. So, and the funny thing is, it was Franz Nielsen that scored the only goal of that game, right?
Yeah.
So it was Kuznetsov with the winner. I remember that, and he just outweighted Yaroslav Halak. But we'll do more Islanders talk in a minute because we'll talk about a potential reinforcement that could be on the way for them. And let's do all that in NHL bar talk before I stutter some more.
Let's kick it into high pace. Grab your mates, it's time to unlock NHL bar talk.
Layup, get the damn hoop.
We go shot here.
The easiest I've ever to answer.
I'm actually gonna go crazy. I'm gonna buy everybody around.
We're all in this game, let the good times shake.
We got to get Jim back on again because we got to get all four of us on. But that's what happens when you got one of the harder working guys in podcasting everywhere. But welcome back, everybody, to Big Apple Hockey's Bar Talk, where we gauge our confidence on NHL topics based on our choice of drink. So confident that you're buying around, so have a beer. Oh my God, I need a shot. There's some of your options right there. And make sure you're playing along in the comments, everybody. And Anthony, I know you're going to be running out on us in a minute, right?
Couple minutes, yeah. I got it.
All right, so let's start with you. And right now, because let's look at this. One of the Islanders' top prospects, Cole Yzerman, 16 goals, 9 assists in 30 games this season at Boston University. Boston University, how is he not on the Rangers or on their coaching staff or on their front office? Anyway, but the Islanders should bring up Cole Yzerman at NCAA's season's end.
So last game, Maxim Shabanov finally drew in, and I think that last spot right now, between him, Duclair, I think he's not in love with either of them. And a matter of fact, I think Shabanov was in last night because I think McLean was out. But the point is, I think there is room for one more forward that Juan may like best. With that said, Yzerman, his shot is great. But if there's a college prospect that I think is more NHL ready because of his size and just his overall game, I think it's Danny Nelson that the Islanders could bring up upon his season's end. Both Yzerman, BU plays Vermont today, and Notre Dame plays Michigan. So if either of them lose, yeah, they could theoretically sign. But for me, I would be watching for Danny Nelson because of those two reasons I listed. And the third, and maybe the most important one that we touched on in our text, but the Islanders cannot let Danny Nelson go back to school for his senior year. Because then he could play it out and be a free agent in August. So if he says something similar to what Lee did, if you guys remember back in 2013, 2014, he finished his junior year. Lee wanted to turn pro right away, held all the leverage. He played 2 games for the Islanders that season. If Danny Nelson says, I want to play in the NHL, the Islanders can't screw around with that because he has that leverage. So that's another reason why I think, sign Nelson and see what he's got. As much as I love Cole Yzerman, he's kind of electric and his shot and everything. I think for right now, Nelson would be more ready than Yzerman. So for that, I'll say shot.
Okay. Phil?
I'm gonna say shot as well. I look at this kid and you see the goals and you'll see the highlights every now and then, and he'll wow you with his shot in his hands, and he's got offensive skill. But just in terms of just being ready to play and being a pro, it's not there yet. Don't force it. Just let him. If you wanted to bring him up to Bridgeport at season's end, I think I would even be wary about that. I think he could be. I think he would serve better from playing another year in the NCAA, and then I think the earliest you will see him play pro would probably be at the end of next season, whenever Boston University's seasons end. So I just don't think he's ready yet. I think there are other things that he has to work on. I think he would be one of those players that would end up in the doghouse because he would do something on the defensive end that would get him benched, or you get his minutes cut down a bit. There's no reason for it. Just don't do this to your players. Again, we talked about this with the Rangers. You put your players and your prospects in optimal positions to develop and succeed. Doing this right now would not help Cole Yzerman at all. So, no, this is absolutely a shot.
Yeah, I'm actually going to go shot on this one as well and make it a hat trick of shots. And a matter of fact, let's get the hat trick out. I'm going to go sort of on that same reason that you just said. Put them in an optimal position to succeed. I think Yzerman has more things he has to work on, and it would be better for his confidence and for him not to do this in a playoff run. Also, I'm not really sure if that is there specifically. I think that they kind of want to focus more Cal Ritchie on the power play. So you're not really thinking Cole Yzerman. There's not really that spot that you're just seeing him. Like, take, for instance, if you look at Chris Kreider in 2012, or maybe even Cole Caulfield in 2020, where they brought them up because there was the need. I don't see the need right now. It would be nice to have him, but I think Anthony's right on this one. I think it's Danny Nelson. You got to go get Danny Nelson and bring him up here. And
I don't know if it's the thing is I don't know if Nelson's ready yet. Nelson really hasn't done, and I'll see Notre Dame here and there. I can't say like I watch a ton of Danny Nelson in Notre Dame, but I have not seen him dominate the way that I thought that he would in the NCAA, like especially off of some of the World Junior performances that he had, where he was like a real nice contributor for them. But like I don't see it.
But I think you have to do it because of the CBA.
That's what I was about to say. The only reason why I think you might see it, and you see him in Bridgeport, within the next few weeks or so, depending on how their season goes, is because of the fact that they don't want to risk him being, hitting free agency. I don't think they want to play that game, and they'd be smart not to, because let's just face it, he would be a top 5 prospect in the majority of teams' pools. And like the Rangers, he'd be a top 3 prospect. Easy. If you consider Gabe Perreault still a prospect, you would probably have to have him number 2 or number 3, depending on what you think of Nathan Aspinall's year this year. So again, I would not play with fire, but I just Nelson's another one. I think he could serve from another year, but again, maybe he goes up to Bridgeport and maybe he plays better. I don't know. It could happen. Look at Noah Laba. Who the hell thought Noah Laba was going to have this type of development? Nelson could be that way too.
The other thing also is when you got, I don't know if Yzerman is that sort of precarious or delicate flower, however you want to like categorize him, like he's got a frail ego. In that case, maybe you want to keep him away from Patrick Waugh for a little bit. So that way it's not on a whim in a critical playoff game that, like you said before, he makes a mistake and the next thing you know, he's out. In this particular case, I do think maybe you go with Nelson for the CBA as Anthony outlined, but you give time for Yzerman next year to go through, as John Tortorella used to say, going through the process. You have to go through the process. And there's a reason why he stands by that. It's not just to antagonize young players. He believes they need to go through the process to understand the league. That's just one angle. Let's go over to the New York Rangers, and they've won 3 out of the last 4, including a big comeback against the Toronto Maple Leafs last Thursday night. But a lot of fans, they're kind of looking at it and going, why are they winning? Why are they winning? They shouldn't be trying to win. Phil, the Rangers should be tanking more than winning.
Yeah, I mean, that should be the idea. I'm going to go round on this. You want the higher pick. This is a team that has very little prospect depth. I mean, if you consider Gabe Perreault a prospect, he's your number 1 prospect, and he's like the one blue chip level prospect that they have. I mean, Nathan Aspinall is having a great year, but how much do you attribute that for him being a man amongst boys in terms of physical size, and 2, being an overager? So, but yeah, they need to add a top 3 pick in this draft. Like if they can't get a Gavin McKenna, I mean, you want Keaton Verhoff or Chase Reed or Ivar Stenberg or someone like that. I mean, do you really want them coming away with Tynan Lawrence, who is having an okay freshman year at BU right now? I mean, with BU, they don't have the depth that they've had in previous years. You figure this is where Tynan Lawrence would come up and would, pave his way and really start to, kind of make his mark, on that team. But he really hasn't done that. So do I think Tynan Lawrence is still going to be a very good player going forward? Yes. Do I think that that's the player that they want to come away with? No, I think they want a top 3 pick, and they should. But again, this is an easy schedule. Look at the schedule that they have in front of them coming up. So the next few games, you have Winnipeg, who tomorrow night, who's not playing great. I mean, they've dealt with a lot of injuries. I think
they're starting to figure things out a little bit.
Yeah, I think they lost last night, but
yeah,
they got Josh Morrissey back, I think. You got Minnesota, that's going to be a tough game. LA, Jersey, who they looked like they were going to beat and then lost that game. Columbus, Winnipeg, and then Ottawa. Then you have Toronto, Chicago, an ailing Florida team, New Jersey, again, Montreal, Detroit, Washington, Buffalo, Dallas, Florida, Tampa. So it's not a super hard schedule. They don't have the cream of the crop the rest of the way. So no, don't you dare do this. Don't you dare, because I'm coming after you if it happens.
Well, don't worry, Brian. I'm going to extend that thought for a second, because I wouldn't mind seeing the Rangers draft Caleb Malhotra and actually try to get the development of a Malhotra right for the first time in 30 years. Because if you remember, his dad was drafted by the Rangers, top 5 pick, John Muckler.
No, it wasn't a top 5 pick.
Was it top 5? Was he 6?
No, it wasn't a top 5 pick.
It was top 10 pick, whatever.
Top 10 pick, yes.
Yes. So they fumbled that and then insulted the guy on the way out. Muckler saying he's going to be nothing more than a 4th liner. really just kind of cemented what he was going to be. By the way, he ended up becoming a fourth liner and a damn good one. However, but not what you want from a top 10 pick. They figured he was going to be a good two-way center his entire career. Now, can the Rangers use like some of those guys and get all the way up there, a top overall pick? Sure, you can get there with the lottery anyway, as we've seen not only from the Rangers themselves, but the Islanders last year that they went from to 10-1. The Devils too. So I don't like tanking because of this. As much as you want to say it's tanking. First off, try to tell that to Igor, who's been out for a month and who's taken a lot of criticism, even from guys like me, that say, "Oh, you know Lundqvist, you know Lundqvist." You got Adam Fox, who's going to prove his worth to the New York Rangers and make Mike Sullivan want to eat that whiskey drinker comment. JT Miller has got to do something to prove he was a good choice for captain. Don't worry, when he comes back, he'll ruin the rest of the season, so that'll help. And you got to see what you're going to get out of this top line. Maybe you don't want the culture to be, guys, we're not trying to win, and we're trying to just get whatever the best prospect there is out there that we're probably going to stash behind two veterans and then waste his career anyway. Because the Rangers did that with all the other prospects when they were tanking. So they did that with Elias Anderson, although I still have questions on Elias Anderson to begin with. They did it with Philip Hedl because they never really going to develop him. They did it with Kravtsov. They did it with Kakko. They did it with Lafrenière. Let me know when they did it with Brendan Ottman, who was just traded last week. Let me know when I get to a first round draft pick. I mean, that they actually are working to develop. They got one now, it looks like, in Gabe Perreault. So if you could tell me, you find out in this last 19 games, they got a quality player out of Gabe Perreault, and you start to see the awakening of Alexis Lafrenière, and that can carry into next season, I'd rather that. So they should be focused more on winning. I'm going to do a shot on this one. That's what it should be. And Phil, I think you said round on yours. I'm not sure if I ever did that, but
I did say round, yeah.
You did say round, I know, but I think it was just right there where I had to do that. All right, let's look at the Pittsburgh Penguins. They are 3-2-3 since the Olympic break, hanging on to second in the Metro. They did this all without Sidney Crosby. But you know what? You kind of figured without Sidney Crosby, they were just going to plummet into nothingness. Phil, Dan Muse deserves more credit for the Penguins' success.
This is also a round. I'm gonna sit there and say that a lot of it is due to a rejuvenated Evgeny Malkin, who he's missed some time, but he's played well enough. I mean, 47 points in 46 games this year. Sidney Crosby is
ageless.
Just Sidney Crosby. We don't need to say much more about him and his play. May be the most complete player in the NHL right now. But Dan Muse and the new coaching bump is a real thing. And a lot of people are saying, oh, Sullivan held them down, yada, 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 in his system, and it didn't work with a lot of those guys. Well, I mean, you can say that to a point, but were you saying that when they were winning 2 cups in a row and they had like the HBK line as their third line, and, Malkin was doing everything that he could with, whether it was Brian Rust or whoever the hell else was with him? Dan Muse deserves a lot of credit, though. And I think he should be one of the Jack Adams finalists as of right now. Honestly, like what he's doing with this roster and the way that they're hanging in there without Crosby, got to tip the cap. Can do nothing else. But, okay, so what about the players in Kyle Dubas? It's almost the same group. There's no more Jake Gensel there. They're exactly. Like Sheenakov comes over from Columbus, and that guy, everybody talked about how much of a reach he was. Remember, it was so bad that the analysts on Sportsnet had nothing to say about him when he was drafted with that first-round pick by Columbus. They had nothing on him. They didn't expect him to go until like the third round. They were caught with their pants down. It was the first time you seen anything like that on an NHL draft special. And then now he's getting something out of Anthony Mantha, who's producing without Sidney Crosby, who's if getting Malkin is your driving force there? Mantha's really been one of the guys. So honestly, I'm more than beer. I'm going round on Muse.
Mm-hmm. And you know something? Let's put that round up there right now. Take it down. Let's put that round right back up. First off, I'll be honest. I wonder if Dan Muse will find the precious, because he does kind of look a little bit like Gollum. But Dan Muse has done a great job. He was a good assistant coach with the New York Rangers the last 2 seasons, I mean. And he's really kind of showing what he could do in his first full stint. And you're taking over for a guy that won 2 Stanley Cups. You're taking over for the guy that's the coach of Team USA and the most highly sought after coach of the last offseason. And you know what? You just got to like what you're seeing out of them. They're without Malkin. Crosby picks it up and they end up keep going. Crosby goes down. You're like, this is it, because it's Sidney Crosby out. And you know what? They're still doing all right. So he's definitely not the use the metaphor of the 8th inning guy that you try to make it into the closer and he can't do the job. He's an assistant coach that's actually doing
the
well.
Todd Reardon of the NHL.
Yeah, take your pick. Todd Reardon, Lane Lambert could have fallen into that. The Lane Lambert right now is
Barry
a
Trotz proteges who everybody thought was up and coming, and then they flamed out and couldn't do it.
Remember Dave Lewis in Detroit, that he had them for, I think he was only the head coach for 2 seasons. And
it was right after Bowman's retirement. When Bowman retired after that third Stanley Cup in 2002, Dave Lewis took over because he was the assistant.
And then they lost to Anaheim, and the guy that would eventually become their coach, and Mike Babcock.
Yeah.
But you got to look at the job that Muse is doing, and just give him a thumbs up. And speaking about which, why don't you guys do that for us? Make sure you're giving us a thumbs up. Leave a like right now, and or even,
as it's over my
as
face.
I always like this one, smash that like button that's right down below. All right, Phil, hard to believe how this season has gone for the team that I think 2 of us said was going to win a 3rd straight Stanley Cup. But the Florida Panthers right now, 9 points out of a playoff spot with 17 games for them remaining because they played 65. And they're 9 points behind the Boston Bruins. It's over for the Panthers.
Unless Sasha Barkov is coming back to save the day within one of these next couple of weeks. A couple of games maybe even, yeah. I don't know how they can do it. There's a month left in the season for Florida. Their last game is on Wednesday, April 15th against Detroit. Their opponents: Columbus, Seattle, Vancouver, Edmonton, Calgary, Seattle, Minnesota, Islanders, Rangers, Ottawa, Boston, Pittsburgh, Montreal, Ottawa, Toronto, Rangers, Detroit. Their schedule.
I count 3 games top of my head with non-playoff teams.
So yeah, the Rangers are a non-playoff team. Ottawa right now, as it speaks, is a non-playoff team. Toronto is a Toronto's a non-playoff team. Calgary is also a non-playoff team.
All right,
and everybody else is fighting. Everybody else is fighting.
I had to catch up to you. So 5 games out of that. Wow.
Yeah.
They got 12 games against playoff teams.
Again, unless Sasha Barkov is coming back, I don't see how this team can do it. Because they're not winning games. They're not getting the production that they need from the guys that are supposed to be like their guys at this point. You can commend guys like Brad Marchand for having the season that he's had. He's a point per game. But where is the production from some of the other guys? Like when I like Sam Reinhart leads them with 59 points in 63 games, but he only has 28 goals. Sam Bennett has had a better season than expected. He's on pace for about 60 points. Carter Verhaeghe, where have you been, man? Where have you been? 19 goals and 46 points over 63 games. It's not enough. It's not enough. Seth Jones took a step back. They go and they acquire him, and he has a great run on the way to his first Stanley Cup. Eetu Luostalainen, I know you're a third line, bottom six type guy, but they needed some offense, and he couldn't provide. Matthew Tkachuk being out for most of the year has really hurt them. And Mackie Samoskevich, someone who myself and Johnny Lazarus were both very high on, never really stepped it up for them. So
Yeah.
I think it's over unless Barkov comes back and everyone gets pushed down a bit and propped up. I don't see it.
Yeah, you hit the nail on the head, and I got to go round on this one as well. They had to do whatever they could, and Philk is gone just like that. But they did everything that they could when they were trying to hold on to playoff positioning. And I talked before about casting and miscasting, but give all the credit to Anton Lundell for trying to fill Alexander Barkov's shoes. But there's a reason why it took him years to grow into that role. And it's going to take Lundell years when Barkov eventually.
I don't think Lundell will ever grow into that role.
That's such a tremendous role to be in. It's so hard. But he tried. And longest playoff run, several years, the Olympics, a lot of Panthers were on there. It's time. And it's funny, Phil, because they're not going to.
They're
on destination.
Just look at it this year. When you look at the Florida Panthers and you look at that roster, and you look at what's coming off the books this offseason for them. So Thomas Nosek, Vinny Hinostroza, Luke Cunnin, AJ Greer, Cole Schwint, all off the books. So that's only like a couple of million. But the big one, actually, Sergei Bobrovsky and Daniil Tarasov are both coming off the books. So you're gonna have to go get goaltending, but that's 11, almost 12 million in cap right there, plus another 2 or 3 million between those players. And then you're gonna get Barkov, Seth Jones, who's on LTIR right now. You're gonna get him back too. So I think Florida's gonna be fine.
Florida's going to be just fine. And I think they'll re-sign Tarasov because he's a restricted free agent, isn't he?
No, he's unrestricted too.
He's unrestricted. Oh, okay.
Yeah, he's unrestricted.
So Florida's just going to be just fine. They know what they're doing. They have a blueprint. They're going with it. It's amazing, Phil, that they're going to go miss the playoffs, finals, cup, miss the playoffs.
And then they'll probably be right back in the thick of things because, as Brian pointed out there, cap's also going up at about 10 million on top of that.
Oh, by the way, Bilk, I'm sorry. I undercut this a little bit. They're going to go President's Trophy. Then it was barely make the playoffs. Then the finals. Cup, missed playoffs. So it's... What they've done in Florida is amazing, and now they got their work cut out for them because no,
that's not the I meant to highlight this one. Sorry. And that's a good point, Dave. I mean, the last part it could happen, and Bobrovsky likes Florida. He loves it. He's been there for a while. He's beloved there. I tell you right now, I was at that game where he fought Alex Nedeljkovic, and I tell you right now, when he came back into that game and him and Nedeljkovic came back and goal, because everybody thought he was gone after that. But when he came back into that game, the ovation he got, you should have heard it, man. It was like a Stone Cold Steve Austin 1998, 1999 pop. Like he got that type of reaction when he walked in. So the unrestricted free agent class of goalies is not good. I could see him coming back at like half of that price, maybe even less.
You don't think anybody's going to try to go over the top to try to bid him to get there, right?
Could Edmonton maybe try that? I don't know, but
they're going to go with an aging Sergei Bobrovsky over.
I honestly think Edmonton is going to try to make a trade for Jordan Bennington in the offseason. I thought they were going to try to do it by Friday's deadline. I think they make it happen in the offseason. I think goalie trades are easier in the offseason than they are in during the season.
Yes, not just for the logistics of it, but also the practicality of getting a goaltender.
That graphic will never get old, but I'm just you hear it in Jim Ross's voice, and it's so much better.
All right. Well, let's move on to a team that won the President's Trophy last year. Speaking about a former President's Trophy winner, the Winnipeg Jets right now, they find themselves 4 games out of playoff spot. They are 5-2-3 in their last 10. That does go back to before the Olympic break. But they're 4 points out. Nobody, there are teams in front of them, Phil, but nobody really has planted that flag in the West to say, we're going to be the last wild card team. Hell, I mean, sometimes I think the Mammoth might be in trouble at 73 points. But, Bilk, the Winnipeg Jets will make the playoffs.
Oh, man. Wow. Oh, my God. Oh, this is tough. I'm going to have to go beer. I can't say one way or another. Just looking at this schedule for them, it's you have the Rangers tomorrow night, then you have Colorado. Good luck with that one. St. Louis. Nashville's been playing better. They're not the team that they were early on in the year. Boston. Pittsburgh is a playoff team. The Rangers again. Then you have Vegas. You have Colorado on a back-to-back. And then Chicago. That ends out March. Then you have Dallas, Columbus, Seattle, all fighting for playoff spots. St. Louis and Philadelphia, bottom feeders. Vegas in a playoff spot. Utah and San Jose fighting for playoff spots. So their schedule is not easy. I wonder if they have the hardest schedule left of any team. Because
Look, you said shot on them, right?
What's that?
You said shot on them, right?
I'm gonna go beer just because it's gonna be tough for them, and they're 5 points back of Seattle. Now the good part is that Seattle doesn't have any games in hand on them, but they've got to jump over 3 teams just to get to Seattle. And I don't know how they're going to do it with having sold off 2 of their defensemen at the deadline. So Connor Hellebuck is going to have to channel his MVP caliber year of last year to really get them in, because I don't know how they do it.
If there's any team that could do it, it's Connor Hellebuck right now. He's got a .915 save percentage and a .246 goals against since the Olympic break. You know what, Phil? And because nobody wants that last wild card, and you're telling me you just got to beat Seattle, who's iffy. Los Angeles, who seems to be nothing. San Jose, who's got a negative goal differential. Nashville, who waved the white flag. So, but they're only 1 point back of them, oddly enough. I'm going to go bold. I'm going to go round on this. I'm going to say that momentum that came from the gold medal could carry over with Connor Hellebuck. Now he's got to focus and get his team in the playoffs. He gets his team in the playoffs, then maybe look out, because you don't want to face a guy like Connor Hellebuck in the playoffs. Certainly not in Winnipeg. And maybe, who knows, they actually get better defense in front of them, but that would be nice. It's just, I'm not confident on any of the Western teams, because we're going to get into who's going to win the Pacific, and we're going to be like, huh? But it's sort of like, go get them, boys. You want it? It's right there for the taking. That's a simple way to look at it. Same thing like Herb Brooks said. It's your time. I'll go out there and take it. Let's look at the Pacific Division standings, where you have the Anaheim Ducks right now leading the Pacific with 75 points. Edmonton and Vegas with 72. Seattle 76. LA with 67. And San Jose with 66. Phil, we'll just stamp this over. The Ducks will win the Pacific.
Ooh. I would never sleep on Edmonton or Vegas. And they have the tools to get it done. I just, oh man, I'm gonna go shot. I think Edmonton or Vegas is coming away with it. I just think they're a young team. I think they have a lack of just overall experience in this type of situation. I think they're close, but they're just not there yet. They're not there yet. Like Chris Kreider has 21 goals and 39 points for them. And, after the start to the year that he had, like, he needs to start stepping up, like, right about now. Cutter Gauthier leads them with 57 points. Leo Carlson's a point per game, but he's missed time. Beckett Seneca's having a hell of a rookie year, even though he's probably going to finish second in the voting to Matthew Schaefer. Troy Terry is almost a point per game. Jackson Lacombe is having a pretty damn good year. But where's Mason McTavish, man? They just re-signed Ryan Paling. He's been one of their brighter spots in their lineup. Mikael Granlund, you brought him into being a top six figure, hasn't really lived up to it. Ryan Strome got sent out because he was just playing so poorly. Yeah, I don't see it. I don't. And it would be a feel-good story for the Ducks to win the Pacific, but how do I bet against Connor McDavid playing the way he is right now? Connor McDavid's on pace for about 140 points. Like, how do I bet against that? Leon Draisaitl's going to have like another 115, 120 point season. Like, how do you bet against that right now? I can't. I'm sorry. Shot.
I'm not sure if I put the shot up first. Let's do it again. Yo, you did do it. Yes, you did it at the very beginning. Hey, Philk. We got 3 teams in playoff positioning with a negative goal differential right now. And one of them is leading their division by multiple points. So it's 3 points for them over Edmonton. I don't like the mix in Edmonton right now. I think the forwards are good. They're just as good as they've always been. Although, by the way, did you watch the game last night with Colorado and Edmonton? That the first goal was because Puck Colton put it back into his own zone. Yikes. I, for one, something's with this team. Like, they got hot since the Olympic break. Right now, they're 8-2, or in the last 10, I should say. But since the Olympic break, you're talking about this. Chris Kreider, 9 points. Cutter Gauthier, 8 points. Leo Carlson, 8 points. Jackson Lacombe, 8 points. Beckett Seneca, 7 points. I'm not going to go through the entire roster, but you're getting the Ducks that they're starting to believe. And now you just added John Carlson. John Carlson walking in that room is going to change a lot. It's not somebody that's coming off a troubled season like Jacob Trouba was, and he has to get his mind right. He does have to figure out a lot of other things because, after all, he did just get traded for the first time in his career. That's always something that, like, shocks guys. But he's also going to a team right now that's sitting in first place. And I got to like the way that that's going to shape up. Kreider usually plays his best around this time. Let's see what these guys in Anaheim are made of as the season comes to a close. Connor McDavid's going to go off, Phil. We all know this. And even Vegas, they got a last gasp in them. Yeah, I'm going to go bold. I'm going to go round. I just think Joel Quenneville knows the buttons to push, and he's going to do it. Now, I also don't like what's in Edmonton. I don't like what's in their net. their net is a disaster. I have no idea what the starting goalie is going to be tomorrow. Never mind next week. Then you have Vegas, who seem to be home. They're just Vegas is in and out. But we're going to see what they're going to be, and soon enough. Anthony, welcome back. What do you think about Anaheim winning the division? Are they going to do it?
The Pacific Division is really just kind of, I mean, you have the Oilers. We all know what their issues are. Vegas has kind of just been up and down all year. Not really impressive. I don't think it's going to be Seattle. I will say that. I don't think Seattle is going to win the division. I think they'd be lucky to hang on for a wild card spot over Nashville or LA. You know what? I'm going to go round. I'm gonna say round. I think the Ducks have a lot of young talent that's coming through. I mean, just think of Leo Carlson, Beckett Seneca, McTavish. Just they're a good team. They're a good team. I like them better than Edmonton, to be honest with you, and even Vegas. Which at the beginning of the year, I don't think I would ever said I like the Ducks better than Vegas. So that's crazy.
All right. Well, good thing we got Anthony back on just for his thoughts on the Ducks at the very end of that, because let's go to getting our thoughts on some other things. We're going to do the Big Apple Hockey Pick'ems right now.
I've got a gut feeling.
You want me to do two things?
Yeah, well, that's just like your opinion, man.
Now shoot!
All right, guys, welcome back to the Big Apple Hockey Pick'ems. We're going to give you a couple choices, and we got to select them. It's not some iffy beer that's in there. I got to come up with a better line or a tagline for that. All right, guys, we talked about this morning in our own group chat. So, Anthony, I'm going to start with you. Who is your Norris favorite right now? Makar, Hughes, or Werenski?
Werenski. I think Werenski should win. I thought he should have won last year, and I think he should win this year. I mean, Cale Makar is great. Just the defenseman that he is. He could dominate this trophy for the next decade. He's that good, but I'm not taking anything away from him because I do think he is the best. But for me, I think this is Werenski's year. I mean, he makes the Blue Jackets go. He's having a more impressive year. So for me, it's Werenski pretty easily.
Phil?
I could so see Makar winning it just because the voters are like obsessed with him. But for me, it's Werenski. Werenski's been the guy. He has been the reason why Columbus is where they are. Take a look at the regression of a lot of their players from this year to last. And if you look at the numbers and what players are on pace for with that team, I mean, I think it's just Werenski and Marchenko are the only ones that haven't regressed off of their paces from last year. Werenski's actually improved, funny enough. Like, he's on pace for almost 100 points. He's on pace for 98 points right now, Zach Werenski. That's crazy. And he plays, like, top-notch level defense, too, on top of that. So, yeah, I'm going with Werenski. The what it's going to come down to is does Columbus make the playoffs? Because again, the only Norris winner in the modern era that's won it on a team that's not a playoff team was Adam Fox.
Correct,
and that was in the COVID shortened season in 2021. So I think that's really what it's going to come down to is just that. Do they have what it takes? Do the voters have the balls to give it to somebody who's not on a playoff team, even though he was the best guy? So for me, I think they should. Cale Makar is just too easy of an answer. I don't think Cale Makar is the guy though this year. I think it's Werenski.
I think we were all caught up in Cale Makar the first half of the season. If anybody recalls, in our midseason awards, we had Cale Makar as our Norris Trophy winner. I think all three of us had that. But wow, that was a crunchy little burp right there.
No, it wasn't a burp.
It wasn't up? Okay.
No. I was going to say something and then it just. But yeah, I mean, I maybe Quinn Hughes wins it. I mean, he's got 64 points, right?
He's got a possibility on it, but I think if you want to use the gold medal winning goal as a metaphor for what this is right now, that it looked like it should be Makar. The puck got poked away. Werenski goes up the ice, wrestles it away from Makar's teammate who's trying to take this from him. And Werenski finds Jack Hughes. The United States win the gold medal. Makar is coasting back on the back check right there. Just using this as a metaphor. This was Makar's for the taking, and Werenski has come up from behind him and stolen it. I do think Quinn Hughes deserves a little bit more of a look. I think it's Zach Werenski's time. Should have given it to him last year. They didn't. So now he's basically playing his way to taking it. And I'll tell you what, Phil, I don't think it's going to be a problem because I think Zach Werenski is going to be in our playoff team. That's how good I think Columbus is right now with Werenski playing this way. And Columbus just, they're looking to play, forgive the pun or don't, because it is me, guys. They're looking to play bonus hockey. So it's,
I see what you did there. I see what you did.
Honestly, I don't think. I think Boston, Detroit, whoever. I think they're going to hold Columbus off. I'm going to go against you there, Mark. I'm going to. I don't believe in Jet Greaves or Elvis Merzlikins.
I don't either.
And I believe in Jeremy Swayman. So I think that's the difference there.
I don't know if I believe in Swayman, but I believe in him more than I believe in those two in net. That's for sure.
Yeah, I'm getting a phone call as by
Your bookie?
No, well, I don't know. Which was my bookie? Anyway, let's go on. Speaking about which, Anthony, let's go to one of those teams. Which team do you think will go further this season, Detroit or Montreal?
The way Montreal defends and their goaltending of late, I can't see it being Montreal. But now all of a sudden, after it looking like it was going to be a lock, like the Red Wings made the playoffs, now they're in a wild card spot. Only a few points up on the aforementioned Blue Jackets. So I mean, I think with them losing Larkin obviously hurts a little bit. And John Gibson has been banged up. I think that's what's happening there. But if I had to pick between the two, I'm gonna say Detroit just because I do like Gibson better and their defense overall. I mean, Lane Hudson and Noah Dobson, they're good offensive defensemen, but the way they defend, it's not really the best. I like the Red Wings group a little bit more. So if I'm choosing between the two, I'm going Detroit.
Phil?
I got to go Detroit as well. I mean, you want to talk about goaltending issues? Yeah, sure. You can do whatever with that, but I don't trust Montembeault. I mean, I like the Falk edition just because I think it gives them another offensive goal scoring threat from the back end. But again, I think they needed somebody who could a little more of a two-way guy than Falk. I would have liked to have seen them add someone who was a little better defensively there. Maybe he's like an upgrade over Sherratt or someone like that. But I just think that there's more talent on that Detroit group. I think Moritz Seider is a better defenseman than anyone on Montreal in terms of being the complete package. I think if I have to choose between Moritz Seider or Lane Hudson for 24 minutes a night, 25 minutes a night, I'm going Moritz Seider. Moritz Seider is going to give you better playoff minutes. But it also depends on who they draw in the first round. Can Detroit get to that second, get to a playoff spot and not a wild card spot and not draw Tampa or Buffalo or someone like that? I think it's unavoidable because I think right now they're in, let's see, the standings here.
Well, Detroit wild card 1.
They're wild card 1. So
by a point, and Boston's got a game in hand.
Carolina. Actually, no, they would face Buffalo. Sorry. They would face Buffalo. So that might be a better matchup for them than Carolina, if you ask me. But Tampa, if it ended right now, Montreal will draw Tampa, and I think Tampa would kick the crap out of Montreal. Yeah. I think that would be like a 5-game series. So, I'm going to go Detroit.
This is a tough one because I do think you hit one nail on the head, Phil. As much as I don't trust any of the goaltenders, except for John Gibson in this, their seeding matters. And I think this isn't the Florida team that'll go up against the Lightning that they saw last year. This team would absolutely get annihilated, either one of them, whoever plays Tampa. So I am good. You know what? I'm going to go. Detroit.
No, I don't think there were any layups this time around.
Yeah. No, there weren't any layups. I'm going to go Detroit for that because I think they're probably in a wild card. And I think if they draw Carolina, if not Buffalo, that'll be an easier matchup than Tampa. And something still seems weird, guys. If you go around every fan's perception or every pundit's perception, Carolina really didn't assure themselves. I got Mariota from him. But Carolina really didn't shore themselves up. And I think about there was a movie called The Visitor with Richard Jenkins, where he's a professor that just he looks at his syllabus at the beginning of the year, crosses out the beginning of the year date, and puts on the current year. So he's just kind of re-upping it all the time. I don't see where Carolina did anything to improve. And they're just kind of looking at it and going, yeah, we're good enough.
Who did they even add?
But like, if Brendan Bussey has one bad game, but they're going to go right back to either Kochetkov or Freddie Anderson.
I think Kochetkov's done for the year, Mark.
Oh, thank you. Then,
I'm not even worried about their.
Then Brendan Bussey would have a really bad game to go to Kochetkov.
You know what I'm really worried about with Carolina, and they still haven't addressed it? Center. They haven't addressed center in years. It's been Aho and Jordan Stahl as a number 2 center for God knows how many years, and they still haven't addressed it. Okay, Logan Stankoven's your second-line center. Okay, but he's not really that much of an upgrade offensively over Jordan Stahl at this point. I hate to tell you it, and I know Dwayne's probably sitting there. How can you say that? How can you say that? Well, what has Logan Stankoven done? I was high on him when he was a star, but he hasn't done anything yet. He's got 29 points in 64 games. That's your answer at 2C come playoff time? Good luck with that. Good luck.
All right. And let's go to the next one, because for the third consecutive year, we're going to have 2 damn good teams in the Central going at it in the first round, and one of them's going home, and it could be one of these 2. I mean, barring a run by Utah, more than likely it's going to be one of these 2. More likely to go home in the first round, Dallas or Minnesota. I turn to you, Mr. Fakowski.
I'm going to go Minnesota. I don't like Tyler Myers. You're like, okay, maybe that's an upgrade on right side of defense, but is that really your answer to again, like Carolina hasn't addressed second line center. Dallas hasn't addressed the right side of their defense, and that's what's going to hold them back. But if you ask me, you know who's worse off at center? Minnesota. Minnesota is not the team that they need to be in order to be able to beat the Dallases, the Edmontons, the Colorados of the Western Conference, because they don't have the center depth to line up with those teams. Who are you going at Connor McDavid and Leon Draisaitl and Rupe Hintz and Wyatt Johnston with? Ryan Hartman and Joel Eriksson Ek? So what is your plan there? To play damage control and hope you win a 1-0 or a 2-1 game against those teams? No, that's not happening. It's not going to work. It hasn't worked. The textbook definition of insanity is doing what? The same thing over and over again and expecting different results. You're not going to win with that center depth. Take a look at everyone in the cap era and take a look at their center depth. You think that center depth lines up against the teams that they have out there now and the teams that have won in the past? No way. No way. It's Minnesota.
All right, Anthony, which one do you think is going home?
I mean, this is why people want Bettman to end this playoff format and just go back to 1-8 because
and he's emphatic that he doesn't want to.
Because Dallas, a second-place team, have a really good year. They get rewarded with having to play a very, very, very good Minnesota Wild team in the first round. I mean, it's borderline unfair. But anyway, that's a different point. I mean, they're both very good teams. I'm going to lean towards Dallas just a little bit more because of their center depth. But I do actually like Minnesota's goaltending tandem of Gustafsson and Wallstedt actually a lot. I think those two together provide better goaltending than Ottinger. Don't get me wrong, he's a good goalie himself, but I think Minnesota has, in my opinion, they get the one up in that department. But yeah, the center depth I think is going to be a big issue in Minnesota. With them, they're just going to have to rely on Kirill Kaprizov, Quinn Hughes, and Boldy to do the heavy lifting there. But I do think it will be a good series, but I ultimately think Dallas would win it.
It better be Minnesota. I'll tell you that, because Bill Guerin was pumping up this team to actually have some playoff success, and he needs to impress Quinn Hughes. The other part I can't help but say is if you were expecting a discount for and Christy, we'll get to that in a second. If you were expecting a discount for Vincent Trocheck and then you didn't want to pony up like the dough in order to go get him, then you better get further than just the first round. You can't be one and done like Minnesota always is. I think the last playoff win was what, 2015?
What has Carolina done to address the toughness and the grit?
Again, it's the same thing over and over again, and yeah, their best team is the one that lost the Rangers in 2024. That's the sheer fact of that, and I don't see Carolina doing that. But see, the thing about Dallas is I think Dallas is a little bit stagnant too. I'm not sure Glenn Gullison's a good enough coach to win a playoff round.
I do agree with you there.
I mean, is he going to make the same mistakes that Pete DeBoer had him in the last? Well, are we up to 3 or 4 conference finals that they were in consecutively? I think it was 3. And Pete DeBoer decided to screw it all up right at the very end. So I can't help but look at this and go, I'm not confident on either one of these teams, despite that they're good regular season teams. But I think for Minnesota, they're the ones that need to win this because they need to get Quinn Hughes to sign and think long term. They need to get their fans believing they're going to be a long term success, not just in it for a little bit and then bye bye. So enough of the one and dones. You got to succeed at some point. And lastly, guys, the last one for pick'ems before we move on to Puck Doku. Worst UFA class 2016 or the potential 2026 class, who, by the way, cross off Nick Schmaltz because he just signed with Utah today.
Yeah.
So, Phil, I went to Anthony on the first 2. I'll start with you on this one.
This looks like this could even be worse. Like who is even left at this point? Alex Tuck, and then what else is left? Like Artemi Panarin, does he hit free agency? And where
Oh
does
no,
he
he
go?
signed. Remember? Signed extension.
Oh, that's right. Yeah, that's right. He has that extension, that 2-year extension. Duh. Wow. So Alex Tuck is really your headliner.
And he will resign in Buffalo. I'm calling it right now.
Yeah. I mean, just yeah. Alex Tuck is going to get a ridiculous contract. I would not even. I wouldn't even want to know what he gets, because that contract is going to be stupid for a player that's a 60, maybe 70-point player at best. So, yeah, I'm not liking this class. I'm actually going to go this class. I think this class has the potential to be worse because the cap is going up, unlike in that 2015, 2016 class. If Jacob Trouba is one of the top defensemen on the market, then that's terrible. No, we're not talking about restricted free agents. That doesn't count.
UFAs.
Doesn't count. We're only UFAs. So, yeah, this class is garbage, if you ask me. And I think that there's going to be a team that's going to overpay for somebody like a Tuck. But with the cap going up, I think you're going to see a lot of like mid-tier level players get contracts that they probably shouldn't be getting. And that's going to screw a lot of teams.
Phil, I don't give many people trauma. We talked about how I gave you some trauma at the beginning of all this. I think I got this draft class right, if I recall correctly. I don't get to give Anthony any trauma. But is this the draft class that the Islanders signed Andrew Ladd in?
Not draft class, Mark. UFA.
Sorry, draft class. UFA.
Yes,
No,
it is. It is the UFA class. Yes, they signed in.
Yeah.
Oh, so going all the way back to that, Anthony, what do you think, this year or the Andrew Ladd UFA class?
No, it's this year because back then those guys that headlined it: Oposo, Nielsen, Ladd, Lucic, Louis Eriksson. At least there was the majority of them were at least guys that were coming off kind of like good years and what have you. This class, though, aside from Alex Tuck, it's Charlie Coyle, Anthony Mantha, Marcus Johansson, Claude Giroux, Victor Arvidsson, Tarasenko. Eric Holla. It's Anders Lee. It's really bad. Sure, Ovechkin and Malkin are free agents, but at this point they're just names. They're 40 and 39 years old. They're either going to go back to their respective teams or retire. So like you can't even count them. So it's bad. Like same thing with Patrick Kane. Patrick Kane's a free agent, big deal. He's 37. He's not. This isn't Patrick Kane of 8 years ago. Same thing with Zuccarello. So it's really, it's a really, really bad class. So for me, it's this year's free agent class, and it's not close.
I agree with you guys.
Close, but it's this class.
I agree with you guys wholeheartedly. We are going to have a miserable time on July 1st because we're going to have to be reporting on. We're going to be reporting on more trades July 1st than we did at the trade deadline.
We forgot about Patrick Kane, boys. Patrick Kane's a UFA too.
Oh, goody. Yeah, can we get anybody?
Patrick Kane who looks like he's declining is a UFA. Just remember that.
Yeah, can we get anybody that's of any significance right now? No, you know what? No, we gotta do it, Sean. Gotta do it. Gotta do it. We're here for the good days and the bad days.
Great.
I mean, Evan said it best last week that we donated 6 hours of our lives to the worst trade stream of all time. It was just the worst trade deadline. I mean, that's all I have to say when it comes to that one. But Anthony, actually, you're reminding me about one of the things that I got one more pick 'em, and I'm going right back to you. Alex Ovechkin's mindset: one more year or retire.
He was kind of broken up about the Carlson trade. You already heard at the end of last year that this year might be his last. I'm gonna say he retires, at least from the NHL. I do think he has the desire to go home and finish playing for Moscow Dynamo. But I personally think he's done in the NHL. One thing for sure, I don't think he's going to another NHL team. I don't think he's going to do that. So for me, I think he's hanging. I think he's hanging him up.
Phil, you think he's hanging him up?
Yeah, the regression is crazy with this team and predicted. You just look at the way that they are right now. I mean, he's got 24 goals and 50 points in 65 games after a year where he had 44 goals and 73 points in the same amount of games. It's a 20 goal, 3 assist drop off. I can't see, and like Isildur is saying here, I can't see him on another jersey. I can't. It's either Capitals or retirement, and it's retirement for me. I think Anthony's right. I don't think the 1000 watch ever really had a real chance.
No,
he would have had to have played another like 3 years to get that, I think. But again, the guy is going to retire #1 all time in goals with over 920 goals. That's crazy. Like, you had a hell of a career. You're considered the best goal scorer of all time. You have the record. Just go play in Russia and have some fun for a couple of years. Don't tarnish your legacy. Don't sit there and be that guy that turned, because like the more and more he does this, the more and more he's going to turn into 1992 Tim Kerr. And you don't want to do that.
Well, it's just he's got nothing left to play for. He won a Stanley Cup. He is the all-time leading scorer. He's kind of accomplished everything you ever could do. I gotta say this too, guys. I'm looking at his stats right now, and I was talking about Wilt Chamberlain last night because they were talking about Bam scoring 83 in the NBA sections, and we're talking about that. But here's not many people know Wilt Chamberlain averaged 48.5 minutes per game in his third year. That means he played every game, every minute, and into overtime every minute. That's insane to think about. And why I'm bringing that up, I'm looking at Alexander Ovechkin's shot on goal. Just his shot on goal total. He's going to retire with the most amount of shots on goal. 7,048 is what it is right now. Guys, he's got a season over 500 shots on goal. And his shooting percentage, amazingly enough, was 10.6% in that time.
Yeah.
The previous year, he had 446 shots on goal, and he had 14.6 for a shooting percentage. First off, his shooting percentage is 13.1 for his career, which is amazing for a guy that takes as many shots as he does. But my goodness, I'm looking at this. I'm just going, are you kidding me? 528 shots on goal. And he did it in 79 games. It wasn't 82. That's just, he led the league in shots on goal. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5.
And he never eclipsed 400 after that 2009 season. That's crazy.
Right. He did 8 times. Or no, 10 times he led the league in shots on goal. So, I mean, that alone is just so amazing to even think about. This guy's done it all. He can, yeah, I think we could take off the 1,000. It's good enough. So it's just, I mean, greatest Washington Capital play of the game. And it's so odd to think that you could list him as the 3rd or 4th greatest player of his generation over the last 20 years. And I'm saying 4th as a generous give to Nate McKinnon. Because that's who I think could compete for that. But I mean, he's got to compete against McDavid and Crosby, and he still is the NHL's all-time leading goal scorer. It's just unbelievable. All right, guys, let's play a little puck doku. Unfortunately, I got about another 15 minutes left for me because It has been a wild 2 weeks that I'm going to be going on. So let's get to that.
Okay.
Yeah. Yeah, St. Patrick's Day coming up and I got guys on vacation.
That's going to be a hell of a week for you, buddy.
I have the parade on Sunday and the St. Patrick's Day.
The actual day on Tuesday. Yeah.
So
that's going to be nuts for you.
Man.
All right.
All right.
All right.
All right. Hold on. We'll stand it out. Yeah, because I just
got rid of Anthony somehow.
How did I get rid of Anthony? I thought I didn't. Sorry about that, Anthony.
No,
all right, and that did make it bigger at least. All right, for Puck Doku, our top axis is Kings, Florida, and Montreal, and the y-axis is the Carolina Hurricanes / Hartford Whalers, Edmonton Oilers, and a team captain. Who would like to start it?
All right. So team captain Montreal, he's actually the only goaltender in their history to do this. Bill Durnan.
Okay. So Phil is starting. Bill Durnan. Here we go. 1%er.
Shit. Florida, give me Pavel Bure.
3%er.
Since you mentioned him before, for LA team captain, Dave Lewis.
1%er.
Top right, that one that you're on highlighted right now, Montreal and Carolina. Go Kevin Haller.
Holla.
Oh, God.
0.7%. By the way, Kevin Haller, who scored the game-winning overtime goal for the Philadelphia Flyers versus the New York Rangers in Game 2 of the '95 Eastern Conference.
Yeah. No need to remind me of that.
Well, it was Brian Leach's only hat trick. That's the reason why I was bringing it up.
Yeah, I know. Florida, Edmonton, Jesse Ballinger.
Florida, Edmonton, who?
Florida, Edmonton, Jesse Ballinger.
Okay.
Florida, Carolina, Sean Hill.
Damn it.
Florida, Carolina, Sean Hill. Okay.
Yeah.
Pretty sure there's other ways you could put in Sean Hill here.
Edmonton, LA, Jeff Chikrin.
Jeff Chikrin, 0.1.
Montreal, Edmonton. Portion's going to be too high. Damn, Foods would be too high. Benoit Brunet never played for Edmonton. You know what? I think I used him last week in one of I think it was it's either Edmonton or Montreal. I used him last week. Pretty sure, actually, you know what? I think it was Montreal. Scott Thornton, Mark.
Scott Thornton. All right.
Yeah, Scott Thornton, that one.
It's Edmonton, Montreal. Scott Thornton.
Yeah, Scott Thornton.
Okay. 0.3.
And I think I might end up pissing off Anthony with this one because it's probably a guy that I think he would have picked. But for the last spot, Doug Huda.
Huda could have picked that D. All right. Phil with an unique score of 5. All right, Anthony, unique to score of 5. Ready to go?
Do you want to go first, only because my daughter's tutor's probably going to get here any minute, and then I'm going to have to get up to let her in, and this way we're not interrupted.
Okay, no problem. So, all right. I'll start with Florida team captain, former New York Ranger Brian Skrudland. Oh, I already tied Phil. Let's go with Mikhail Stolenkov. All right, that's holding firm a little bit more.
It's a very good one, actually.
LA Kings, was Dwight Evans a captain?
Darrell Evans, you mean?
Darrell Evans, sorry. Dwight Evans was a Red Sox.
I don't think Darrell Evans was a
I
captain.
think Darrell Evans was.
Because if I remember correctly, he was a guy that only played like a small amount of games in the NHL. So I don't think he was.
All right, I'm gonna bust out if I go over here. So let's not go there. Obviously, I could go Vinny Trocheck right there.
Yeah, I
or
think that'd
Sean
be
Hill.
obvious.
But I'm actually going to take Anthony's and go Sean Hill right here and get a 0.7 right there.
You already lost. Phil used Sean Hill.
No, I didn't use him in that spot.
Ah, okay. All right.
There you go.
Use him in that spot if he wants to. He can't. He just couldn't use him for Florida, Carolina.
Yeah. So now I got to think Florida, Carolina. I'm going to go Sean Burke right here. I think that's going to bust me, though. Yep, he's an 8. Let's see what else I could get right here. LI. So obviously Dustin Penner would fit right here, I think.
Yeah, I wonder how popular that one would be.
Well, let's just go for it. Dustin Penner, 3%er. So I'm up to 11. Is there a guy between?
Okay.
Was Mike Keane a captain? All right. I think they're gonna kill me on this one. Go Chris Chelios, 0.9. Okay. Wow, I did.
Wow.
Hold on that.
That was a lower answer than Bill Durnan?
Well, because he was a co-captain. That's the reason why it was important.
Crazy.
Edmonton and Montreal. Let's go. I had the name, and then I lost it. Yeah, hell with it. We'll go Sheldon Surrey. Sheldon Surrey is a 6, so I'm already up to 17. I am killing this. Literally, I am killing this. Trying to think of Sean O'Donnell never played for I'm going through these, and
I know he was a king for sure.
Yeah, let's mute that other one, that Anthony for a second. There's a guy. There's a guy that I'm thinking of. How is it that I'm blanking right now? Verbeek never played. Jeff Sanderson, did he ever play in LA? In LI. How the hell with it? We're just gonna go. Let's see if Lucky Luke was a captain, and he was 0.6. And then I could try to figure out anybody from here. I already lost, so. Why does Adam Burt keep going in mind? All right, I lost. Okay, 123. I just wanted to get it over with. Sitting there at 123. And Phil, while we're waiting for Anthony to come back on in, let's answer some of the user questions and comments. Yeah. You know what? Could have gone Sillinger. Could have always gone Sillinger. But that's it. All right. Well, Anthony, hold on. Now let's get back to you. And let's get this back up.
All right.
All right. And let's give us some FaceTime. Let's get some FaceTime for all of us right there.
Hurricanes, Kings. I thought Phil was going to use this guy when he said I was going to steal him, but he ended up using somebody else's. But Constant Crossman, I'm going to use for Kings and the Hurricanes.
Yeah. You know what? I knew that, and I should have used them. Constant Crossman.
Panthers and Hurricanes. You used Sean Hill, right? Someone used Sean Hill in that spot.
I did. There.
Yeah, Phil did. And I use Sean Hill for
I'll do Dennis Seidenberg.
all right, the former Islander, 0.4.
Here's where I'm going to use my other go-to, Daly Diddick, for the Hurricanes Canadians.
See, there you go, guys. There's our Daily Diddick.
Oilers Canadians. I'll do Marc-Andre Berge. No, you know what? Do Brandon Davidson. He might be lower.
I think he would be lower.
Brandon Davidson, he's a 0.1. Sorry, he's a 1.0. So he does qualify as that.
Wow.
If there's any mistakes, Anthony, you still get 0 for that.
Oilers Panthers. I'll do Jeff Norton.
Oh, should have thought of Jeff Norton. Mikhail Stalenkov was a good one for me, though.
Oilers Kings. Dennis Grabeshkov.
I knew you were going to say Grabeshkov. I friggin' knew it. I knew it right away.
One N.
Yeah.
Yeah, Dennis Grabeshkov. You're at a 0.2. Okay.
Captain for the Canadians. Give me Pierre Turgeon.
Whom a lot of people, I bet, forget was a captain for the Canadians, but he's a 1.
Okay. So tied there.
Kings captain. Butch Goring. Is Butch Goring captain for? I thought he was.
Ready?
Yep.
Incorrect.
Lost.
All right, Anthony. Where do you want to use the last guess?
For the Panthers, Derek. Who was their cap? Derek McKenzie.
Yeah, Derek McKenzie, I believe, was a captain. It's Mac. There it is. There you go. All right. So let's just review some of these. McKenzie was a 5. All right.
5? All right.
So in this LA, Terry Harper, Larry Cahan, Mike Murphy, Dave Lewis was one of the best answers. Bob Pulford and Bob Wall were your answers.
Bob
Nordstrom,
wow.
Yeah,
general manager
would have gotten a good one.
Pulford.
Damn it.
All right. So for Florida, your best answer was Paul Laws. And Brian McCabe, I forgot he was a captain. So there you go. McCabe was a captain for 2 teams, if not 3. And wow, Sako Koivu at 19%. I think everybody was trying to kind of think everybody would forget about him, where he had Chelios, which was the best answer out of all those.
I can't believe that Bill Durnan was a higher answer than Pierre Turgeon. That's insane, dude.
I can't believe Henry Richard is only 2.9. I was gonna say Mike Keane too, so thank God I went with the other ones.
Mark, do you have time to squeeze in the pyramid?
Oh no, we're squeezing the pyramid.
Yeah. I mean, I have obscurities lined up too. So
I don't know if he has.
I just don't have the time, guys. I'm sorry. I gotta love to do it, but all right, here we go for the pyramid. Our bottom of the period is a guy that played 40 plus games in his playoff career.
Okay.
Anybody
played 40 games in the playoffs?
RJ Umberger make it?
Did John Druce make it?
I mean, this one should be relatively. You could even use Adam Pellick here, probably.
You could use Adam Pellick. You could use Ryan Pollock if you want to. And
anybody.
I use Cal Clutterbuck.
John Druce. John Druce made it.
Dude.
All right.
Okay. Use whoever you want to use. It should whoever you use should still be 0.
It should still be 0. Let's go Clutterbuck. Let's see where we got. We got a 0. So they played 40 games, and then also for the Edmonton Oilers.
So
how about this? Mike Greer.
Reijo Ruotsalainen would be another.
Jeff Norton.
because Reijo Ruotsalainen played a bunch of playoff games with the Rangers, and then I think he won a cup with the Oilers.
All right. Greer did have 100. We might need him for later, I think. I'm going through his teams right now and the other options. Because I think he's also got, does he have St. Louis in there? I forget. All right, so we're gonna go.
Yeah, Ruotsalainen has 86 games, and then he won the cup in 90 with the Oilers. So, he won 2 cups: Edmonton in 87, and then again in 90.
I always forget how you spell Ruotsalainen's name.
Ruot.
There he is.
Yeah.
And boom, boom, boom. Let me hear you say Ray.
I can't read. What is that?
Rayo.
Oh my God, Mark.
100 goals scored in their career. So 40 games played, 100 goals scored, and they had to play for the Oilers.
Joe Murphy. Does Joe Murphy fit? Wait. He was a Blue. Actually, save Joe Murphy for the next one.
Does Jeff Norton fit that? Does Jeff Norton have 100 career goals?
I don't think so. I think he falls just short.
Mike Greer does make it, by the way.
Use Mike Greer here.
Jeff Norton's got 50.
All right.
By the way.
What?
Jeff Norton's got 50. So Mike Greer at 100.
Yeah, I said 52.
So
use Mike Greer.
Mike Greer. All right. So all those qualifications plus is Joe Murphy?
Joe Murphy. Go with Joe Murphy. He played with the Blues at the end of his career. I know that for a fact.
Okay. Joe Murphy's right there. Still got a unique to score 0, guys. So now they got to play for the Anaheim Ducks as well. So
this looks like they're talking about Chris Pronger directly.
It does. It does. As a matter of fact, I heard him on NHL radio going into this.
Doug Weight.
Doug Weight is another one that could fit this.
Yes.
It's not a cup winner, right? There's no cup winner in there.
Well, Doug Weight won a cup anyway.
Yeah, or Carolina. That's right. Yeah.
Yeah. So, would you want to use Chris Pronger here if there's only going to be 2 choices? Would you use Pronger here and then go to Weight?
Lucas Beeson never played for St. Louis, right?
But he definitely did have 100 goals.
Yeah.
No, yeah, that's
100 goals. Yeah.
Yeah. He missed that by a lot. 20 goals. Yeah. He played for all the teams.
Andy McDonald.
Andy McDonald played for all 3 of these teams, I believe. I think he played
and he won a cup. Andy McDonald played for all 3 of these teams, won a cup. He's got
he played for
he didn't play for Edmonton. He played for Anaheim and St. Louis.
Okay. Yeah. So a good thing that's what. All
right. Oh man. I was doing the double check and I looked and I saw the gold letters. I thought that was Edmonton's alternate.
No, he never played for Edmonton.
Dustin.
Anthony, by the way, didn't Andy McDonald?
Right?
No, Dustin Penner.
Cogliano never played for St. Louis, so that's a no-go.
Dustin Penner? No, right?
Dustin Penner, I don't think ever played for St. Louis.
Never played for St. Louis. I'm pretty sure of that.
Tanner Pearson?
What?
Tanner Pearson? Did he?
No, I don't think he ever played for St. Louis. Or I don't think he played for any of these.
No, he didn't. You're right. Yeah.
Yeah.
He did not. So I guess it's Weight. We have Weight and Pronger, right? Weight. Those 2 are.
We have Weight and Pronger.
I double checked that's the ticket and he never played for Anaheim.
Right? No, Mike Leclerc, I don't think he even had 100 goals.
Who?
Mike Leclerc. He played for Anaheim in like the late 90s, early 2000s. No, he missed everything here. Fuck.
Yari Curry never played for St. Louis.
Eric Brewer?
Eric Brewer does fit this. He played for all these teams. And I just don't know if he had 100 goals in his career. I think he was.
77.
Yeah.
Yeah. 1,000 games though.
I forgot who the Islanders traded him away for, Anthony.
He was in
wasn't it the Roman Hammerlick deal?
I think it was the Roman Hammerlick deal.
Yeah, so that one at least worked out for the Islanders.
What?
Like that deal. Like they traded away him. Oh, here it is. Traded away Josh Green and him for Roman Hammerlick. And a second round draft pick.
Because Hammerlick helped them get to the playoffs, but Brewer from like 01, 02, because Brewer was on that Olympic gold medal winning roster in Salt Lake City. Brewer from like that point on until like I would say maybe 2010-ish was pretty good.
If I recall correctly, he's the only Hammerlick is the only #1 overall draft pick to play for the Rangers and Islanders, if I recall correctly.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
David Perron.
Who?
David Perron.
David Perron.
I don't think David Perron played for Anaheim though.
Yeah, he did.
He did?
I know that, Phil. He did. Yeah, he played for Anaheim 1 year.
He did. You're right. He did.
And he's got 100 playoff games, guys, as well as the Stanley Cup.
And he's got 100 playoff. 100 goals. So
does that mean there's 3 choices for the top then?
Yeah. So which one do you want to go with?
Perron. You have Perron, Waite, Pronger. Wait a second. Doesn't Adam Oates fit here too?
Yes, he does. Because
he
was on Anaheim's 03 run. He was with Edmonton after that, I believe. No,
yes, you're right. Adam Oates also fits.
Yeah, Adam Oates also fits.
So do you want to do David Perron, then Adam Oates, or Adam Oates to David Perron?
Well, Perron's still active. I don't know if that will play into.
Yeah, but you got Waite and you got Pronger. Those are the 2 guys that matter.
I mean, Waite, I would use Waite as the last one, I think. Pronger, I think, is going to be the more known answer. All
right, so Oates here?
I guess.
And just for the Family Guy fans, I'm not coming back for Oates. So Oates, we have a unique to score a 3, and they have to have 750 career points. This is actually where we should have double checked on Perron.
Oh yeah, because Perron doesn't have 750.
He does. He's got 809.
It's Waite. You got to go Waite.
It's Waite. Even though Perron's got 809.
Wait, Perron has 809 points?
Yes.
No way. Really?
Really?
Yeah, I just looked it up. I'm staring at it right here.
He does.
Wow.
Yeah, go with Perron then. Go Perron.
Damn.
Okay, so David Perron
has 809 career points.
And let's see how we did. Unique to score 17, boys. Here we go. Doug Waite was the #1 answer. And wait. So it was Pronger that didn't get there on the points. 750 points.
Yeah. Shit. If I would have known that, I'd
check that. Pronger had 698. I'm actually shocked he was that low.
No, there was no Stanley Cup requirement in this, David.
Yeah, there was none. Patrick Maroon could have fit in here.
Oh wow.
And Tony, so did one of
Tony Herkus. Oh my
Herkus.
God, I've used him Puck Doku. And I've used him in Obscurities. How the fuck did I miss that?
Yeah.
Oh, I didn't even realize that. Now that I think about it, he's St. Louis. You know what? I don't remember him on Edmonton.
Who?
Herkus.
No, Herkus was on Edmonton.
Yeah, no, I don't remember it though. I
think early 90s.
I remember him as a Duck and blue pretty clearly.
I remember him more so St. Louis, Dallas, and Anaheim. I remember him in Anaheim too, late 90s.
Yeah. By the way, guys, I'm gonna end the Instagram video right here, since I'm gonna gonna have to step off the live stream right now. But Let's see. Rayo Rusalina, one of my favorite Rangers. Born in the same place as Sebastian Aho.
Yeah.
Yeah. Can't believe Adam Oates doesn't have a Stanley Cup. And everybody always says that the most points out of undrafted players. I still would put Oates. I don't count Wade Gretzky as undrafted. I'm sorry. Just
Technically, he is undrafted, though.
I know technically he is, but sort of like when Brett Hull was technically American born. So
Big small night on the NHL schedule, but it's a big night on the NCAA college schedule. Butchie Gross tweeted before all the games that are on right now. Tonight. And referenced we're at this point now in the season where you're going to start to see guys, free college free agent sign, and then drafted players join NHL teams if their teams lose. So, we'll see. I know the Rangers have Fortescue playing for Boston College right now, right?
yeah.
I think he could go pro and play in like Hartford. I mean, there's no rush on him. He'll be fine. But they don't have a whole lot otherwise in the NCAA.
Yeah, if it's on, sometimes college games are streaming on Hulu. If that's the case, I'm going to try to watch Notre Dame versus Michigan and see how Nelson does.
Yeah, I mean they got a ton of different the accounts that are going on. Like they're gonna end up merging all three of those: ESPN, Hulu, and Disney Plus all together eventually.
Yeah.
Just do it. Get it over with. Why do we have to put down 3 different subscriptions? Stupid.
Yeah, it's annoying.
All right, but guys, I'm gonna take off. So yeah, you're out too, Anthony.
Anthony. There's a looks like State Wars hockey for the roller hockey.
Yeah.
Did like a throwback post today.
Mm-hmm.
And your boy Tommy Bruce got mentioned in the comment section.
Yeah, he's very extremely good roller hockey player. Lindenwood's finest.
John McInnes, Pat Cannone, and Pat Cannone, I think he got drafted, if I remember correctly. And then Tommy Bruce, Wheel Talk Hockey mentioned Tommy Bruce. I was like, wow.
By the way, before we get signed off or anything, one of the guys that's I could have him come on at any time. My friend Mike Acertato, his son, ended up scoring the game-winning goal to win the New York State Championship, and they're going to Minnesota to play. So
play who? Who? What for who?
Tommy's nephew.
Tommy's nephew, yeah, Mike's son.
Nice. I didn't know that.
I think it was Belmore Merrick. I think that's what it was. That won.
Whatever happened to your connections that know Mayfield or Cizikas, Mark? That you said that you
you get the guys that they still say they can't, but still I got to call Kevin and try to get that going again.
Who says they can't? Because they clearly can. Schaefer goes on stuff; they're allowed to.
Yeah, now they're allowed to, but and then some guys also don't want to Some guys get shy about it. Like Benoit Hogue was apprehensive about doing it. So, but again, I put everybody in a positive light. I make sure of that, and we do that anyway because we're fans. As much as we're inquisitive and we'll criticize people, we're also fans. So we want to know everything that has that.
I would love to get DiPietro on. I think he'd be a funny interview.
I would love to get DiPietro on because there's so many things I would love to ask him. Number one,
I would love to ask him about the Mike Dunham story again. I heard him talk about this on when he was with Han and Humpty. But I would want to see him talk about it again because I was at that game when that happened, and that was insane. That whole thing started with Mariusz Tchaikovsky and Dan LaCouture. And Mariusz Tchaikovsky thought he could fight Dan LaCouture for whatever reason, got his ass beat. And then Jason Blake goes after Mark Messier, real smart move. And Mark Messier has Jason Blake by the throat with his glove on, and he's just like this, like, you're not going to hit me. You're not going to hit me. And he's squeezing the life out of him. Blake's head looks like a tomato. And then DiPietro skates out to the middle of the rink. And then Mike Dunham comes out, and Mike Dunham is towering over him. And he's like, I have to be rethinking this decision. And they don't fight. And it's just that game was absolutely nuts. Barry Watkins, who was senior vice president of public relations at the Garden at the time for MSG, got us tickets in the middle of the game and moved us down from like the Blues all the way down to like, I think like 4 or 5 rows back behind, I think, the Islander bench. Man, what a game that was. Holy shit.
By the way, if anybody needs to know what it's like from force perspective, Phil doing the arm like this was a good example.
Oh, my dude, he just literally, like, we were all laughing hysterically at that because no, he didn't use his jersey. He just had his hand around his throat. He had his hand around his throat. It was freaking ridiculous. That's when I knew, like, all right, so I've always known that Messier was a scary motherfucker. Like, my uncle had this old compilation of, like, hockey fights and big hits. It wasn't like a Don Cherry thing. It was just his own thing. And it was all, like, stuff from, like, the 80s into the very early 90s. And there's a bunch of games between Edmonton and Washington where Scott Stevens, like, hits somebody and Messier goes to challenge him. And you can see Scott Stevens wants nothing to do with Messier. He wants absolutely nothing to do with Pete Messier because I think he knew Pete Messier probably would have pummeled him into the next area code.
Yeah.
Messier was scary.
I still remember Brian Leach telling the story about Messier's first shift against him. They're like, oh, this guy's, watch out for this guy. He's a tough customer. Like, oh, I'll just play against him. Don't worry about it. And he speared him on his first shift.
I will never forget the Adam Graves story about him in the 1990 Campbell Conference Finals, Western Finals, where Messier gets called in Game 5 for this terrible, terrible penalty, and he is fuming. They're down in this game. And I believe Messier scores the tying goal in this game. What is the first thing he do when he gets out of the penalty box? He makes a beeline for Doug Wilson. And Doug Wilson's like, Bradley Chubb to the Bills, by the way, Anthony.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. So I figured we'd just give you that update. But he makes a beeline for Doug Wilson. And Doug Wilson talks about this. And he's like, I was scared for my life. Adam Graves, I'll never forget this quote. He said, you should have seen the fire in his eyes. He scores the goal. They win that game. That series turns around on that one play, and they go on to the Stanley Cup Finals and win the Stanley Cup. That was how good Mark Messier was. That's how scary he was.
Yeah, that was peak mess. And then, I mean, people in Vancouver tell a different story about him, unfortunately.
I can't stand the bullshit that some of the younger Ranger fans say about him because they only see, oh, his second half of his career was so bad with the Rangers. Well, yeah, I think anyone would have been terrible with that shit show of a team that there was during the dark ages. But Messier up until 1997 was probably a top, 5 player of all time?
Yeah. Matter of fact, I still say he's top 5. That's how much I think about that. Look, I am one of those people that I highly criticize his second stint as a New York Ranger. But don't forget that first stint. That's the other side of it. I'll rip that second stint as much as anyone, but I am not going to diminish at all that first stint. He took a team that was they were the Patrick Division winner, 88, 89, 90, and they were okay. They needed to take the next step. Messier was the next step, and then he ended up elevating them to Stanley Cup champions, President's Trophy winners, last place, then Stanley Cup champions. I talk about the roller coaster that Florida was on. How about that for a roller coaster? And then unfortunately, I think then he got a little too vocal about things.
Whoa.
So,
Kyler Murray got released by the Cardinals?
yeah, that was
That's
expected.
insane.
Yeah.
Falcons released Kirk Cousins.
Yeah, and they got Tua Tongue the Bung. Just
Vikings
a
to
guy
release
that could
Harrison
not get out of
Smith.
Miami fast enough. And they got $99 million to paying him in dead cap space. So
Falcons.
all right.
All
All right, Phil. I gotta wrap it up here.
right.
As much as you know, I love to stay on and talk. And a matter of fact, we could have been talking about Phil's lyrics for today, which are as you see right here. And now it's time for your fate, and I won't hesitate. So, what Metallica song was
What
that?
song is that? I'm surprised Josh is not in the chat. Josh would have gotten it already, I think.
Is it Eye of the Beholder?
Nope.
Oh, wait. Justice for All.
Nope.
What do you got?
Jump in the fire.
Oh, okay. Yeah. I thought
No, it's time for your
next
fate,
in
and I
Eye
won't
of the
hesitate
Beholder.
to get down into this pit. So come on. Jump
Yeah.
in the fire.
All right. But guys, thanks very much for joining us. Look out. He's not. We'll see about that.
No, he's not Kovalov.
Yeah, well, a lot of potential that ends up getting squandered. And we'll see if he blows up if he is traded elsewhere. Everybody, thank you very much for joining us at Big Apple Hockey. We'll see you for more coverage later on this week. And I just even thought about extra streams we're going to have because eventually when Alexander Ovechkin does retire, I think we're going to have a special stream for that one. Yeah, well, let's just say I'm not getting sucked in also by his success yet either, but I will play devil's advocate. All right. Everybody, we'll see you soon.